Chapter 1130. Our meeting gift, too. What did you just say? I dare you to say that again. Ning Qi glared at Ning Xiao and shouted angrily. She couldn't do anything to Lung Ruoxue and the rest, so why would she be afraid of a mirror and manager? Miss Ning, I've given you a 20% discount for the things in the room, so you only need to pay 1,000 top-grade crystals. If you don't have that much money on you, then I'll have to send the bill to the main family and ask them to pay for it. Ning Xiao said in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. Since he had Lung Ruoxue and the rest to back him up, he was not afraid of offending the siblings. How dare you ask for money from the main family? Ning Qi was trembling with anger. Miss Ning, I had no choice. Why don't you pay me the money now? Ning Xiao said, feeling a little troubled. You're dreaming. Ning Qi raised her hand to slap Ning Xiao, but he dodged it. Miss Ning, it's not a good habit to hit someone out of embarrassment. Ning Xiao said calmly. You even dared to ask for money from the main family, so what's the big deal if I hit you? Ning Xiao, don't forget that the Nings in the godly mainland have to pay the main family every year. You actually dared to ask for money from the host. You really don't know what's good for you. Ning Qi reminded him with an arrogant expression. Miss Ning, you also said that we're paying the host, but this is a separate matter. Although we have to pay the host, you have to compensate for the things you broke. Ning Xiao tried to reason with her. All right, stop quarreling. They'll give you the money. Ning Haoran said helplessly. Then, he took out 1,000 top-grade crystals from his ring and threw them on the table. Ning Xiao looked at the blue top-grade crystal on the table and was so happy that he was almost overjoyed. Captain Feng was right. He really did get the money. He didn't have much hope at first. After all, he was a direct descendant of the main family. However, now that the money was coming, the sense of accomplishment in his heart was just ho-ho. It started to climb up. Noble son Ning, Miss Ning, your debt has been cleared. I'll take my leave first. After putting away the crystals, Ning Xiao did not want to stay a moment longer in case these two took the opportunity to take revenge. After he finished speaking, he disappeared like a wisp of smoke. Brother, why did you give him money? After Ning Xiao left, Ning Qi asked unhappily. In her opinion, her brother was clearly showing weakness and should not have done that. If you don't give him the money, do you really want him to make a scene in the main family? Ning Haoran raised his eyebrows and said in a cold tone, He would dare. Ning Qi didn't believe that a concubine son from the side branch would have the guts to offend the main family. He might not have dared to in the past, but it's hard to say now, Ning Haoran said with a headache. Ning Xiao was obviously incited by Lung Ruoxue and the others. Therefore, he had no way to vent his anger. Continuing reading on MYB0XN0VEL. Calm, brother. Are we just going to be bullied like this? Ning Qi said angrily. Do you have any other good ideas? Ning Haoran said indifferently. No, I didn't. Ning Qi sighed and said gloomily. Since you don't have it, then restrain yourself and endure it. I won't let our anger be in vain. Ning Haoran said ruthlessly, a gloominess in his eyes. Brother, you must not let that Lung Ruoxue off. Ning Qi understood what her brother meant. She hated Lung Ruoxue even more. Don't worry, once I get the token, I will teach her a good lesson. Ning Haoran promised with an evil smile. The Ning siblings hated Lung Ruoxue to the core, and the Ning family's main residence was not peaceful either. Ever since they invited the Ning siblings, Ning Xiang's status in the Ning family had been on the rise again. Ning Kai had also been released from prison with the help of Ning Haoran. Ning Fei's family had also been suppressed by Ning Haoran. All of a sudden, rumors about Lung Ruoxue's identity had been spreading everywhere. Some people said that she was a fake lady of the Ning family, while others said that she was the illegitimate daughter of the master of the Ning family. In short, in just a few days, Ning City's gossip was flying all over the sky. However, Lung Ruoxue and the others who had been living in seclusion in the inn were completely unaware of this, and they did not deliberately pay attention to the right and wrong of the Ning family. The Ning family's main residence. In Ning Fei's study room, Ning Fei was sitting in front of the desk, and the first elder, who had been silently supporting him, was sitting next to him. However, neither of them spoke. Fei, has Miss Lung been cultivating? After a long while, the first elder finally spoke. Yes, I am. Ning Fei nodded, but he felt helpless. Ning Haoran and his sister had repeatedly said that they were here to play, but the two of them had interfered with the Ning family's internal affairs. Although he was angry, he could do nothing about it. His biggest support now was Lung Ruoxue, so he did not care if she had any relationship with the Nings. At least she had the token of the master of the Nings, and that token could not be faked. Seeing the token was like seeing the master of the Nings. The day after tomorrow, our Ning city will have an auction. Miss Lung, please attend. There might be something they'll be interested in inside. The Ning family's first elder said after some thought. Lung Ruoxue had the first elder from the Weapon Craftsman Guild by her side, and there seemed to be an alchemist as well. Hence, he decided to cater to her interests. Grand Elder, the auction the day after tomorrow is of an ordinary scale, and there's nothing of value inside. How could they be interested? Ning Fei said stubbornly. Fei Mer, who said that the scale of the auction the day after tomorrow is ordinary. I've sent invitations to many families. I can't say that all of the 8 divine domains will be present, but at least 3 of them will be. The great elder said proudly. He had been secretly preparing for this matter, and no one knew about it. Art, First Elder you, Ning Fei's eyes were wide open, and he couldn't believe it. First Elder's actions were too fast. It had only been a few days, and the standard of the auction had been raised? I'm just preparing for a rainy day. Actually, ever since Ning Kai had offended the main family, he had been trying to make up for it. However, when he brought Ning Kai to them, they did not even spare him a glance. In desperation, he could only play along with them. Who asked Lung Ruoxue to have such a high status as the first elder of the Craftsman's Guild? And with the great elder's eyes, ordinary things would definitely not catch his eye, so he would spend a lot of money. In short, when the time came, it would definitely surprise everyone. Chapter 1131. Our Meeting Gift 3. First Elder, he'll immediately send someone to send them an invitation. Ning Fei said excitedly. No, you go personally? The Ning family's first elder said. All right, he said. Ning Fei stood up and went straight to the inn. After receiving the invitation from Ning Fei, the first elder glanced at Master Ning and teased. Old man Ning, the Ning family sent us an invitation. I don't know what they're up to. Want you know if you go and take a look? Master Ning said disapprovingly. Well, let's go and have a look the day after tomorrow. The first elder asked with interest. When Lung Ruoxue saw the invitation to the auction, she was also quite interested and planned to visit it with him the day after tomorrow. It seemed that she had not been to an auction before. The morning after tomorrow, half an hour before the auction officially began, Lung Ruoxue and the others entered the auction hall in a grandiose manner. The waiter saw the VIP invitation in their hands and immediately invited them to the VIP box. This auction venue was the largest one in Peace City, and the area of the VIP box inside was also very spacious, enough to accommodate all of them. There were all sorts of facilities in the private room, and the decorations were also very tasteful. It was very similar to the Ning family's usual style. However, what Lung Ruoxue did not know was that all the shops and auction venues belonging to the Ning family were arranged in the same way. Everyone looked around and found a place to sit down. The waiter quickly served the refreshments and fruits for Lung Ruoxue and the rest to enjoy. However, not long after they sat down, there was a commotion outside the private room. Fonda, go out and take a look. Why is it so noisy? Lung Ruoxue ordered. Continuing reading on MYB0XN0VEL. Calm, yes? Fonda stood up and walked outside. When he walked out of the door, Fonda saw the man who had once quarreled with him arguing with the guards. What are you arguing about? Go and quarrel elsewhere. Don't affect my family's young lattice mood. Fonda frowned and said unhappily. He really couldn't understand why Ning Haoran would keep someone like this by his side. He really didn't know how to look at the big picture. He didn't even pay attention to his own status in public. This private room should be reserved for my young master and young lady. Hurry up and give it up. The man rolled his eyes at Fonda and shouted arrogantly. Is that so? Fonda sneered, grabbed the man's collar, and dragged him to a corner. Not long after, Fonda clapped his hands and walked out from the corner. The guard who was curiously looking at the corner also turned his head and left, pretending that he had not seen anything. After entering the private room, Fonda smiled and said to everyone, "It's all settled." "Kid, did you crack that thing?" The great elder asked curiously. It was very noisy outside, but after Fonda went out, there was no sound outside. So, he naturally thought that this kid must have killed him. One should know that these people under the little girl were more cold-blooded than the other. "No, I don't kill dogs." Fonda laughed evilly. However, that person was not much better off than dead. "That's good. After all, it's the Ning family's dog." The great elder seemed to be at ease. After he finished speaking, he even stole a glance at Master Ning. "Old man, why are you looking at me? Our Ning family doesn't have such a dog." Master Ning said angrily, "As the saying goes, you have to look at the owner before you hit the dog. However, since you don't even admit that the dog is yours, it'll just kill it directly next time." The first elder said with an evil smile, "Kill them if you want to. There's no need to report to me." Master Ning said indifferently. He had many children and grandchildren, and he didn't care if a few died, let alone a dog of the Ning family. "Kid, you heard that. In the future, if you see anyone from the Ning family that you don't like, just kill them if you want to. There's no need to report to this old man." The great elder deliberately misinterpreted Master Ning's meaning and said to Fonda and the others. However, Master Ning could ignore the great elder's words, but Fonda and the others' foreheads were full of black lines. They unanimously agreed to say, "Great elder, it's easy for you to say. Not everyone from the Ning family in the divine world would come to the divine mainland to find trouble with them. And the Ning family on the divine mainland seems to be pleasing them now, so it's really not easy to kill the Ning family. Does Master Ning really not care?" Lung Ruoshua chuckled as she asked, "Little girl, if someone from the Ning family provokes you, you just need to tell me. It'll teach him a lesson for you. You don't even need to do anything." When Master Ning heard this, he quickly said, and his heart was even more upset, "This girl is really ruthless. He couldn't let her kill the entire Ning family. Then wouldn't he become a general without an army, no matter who it is?" Lung Ruoshua asked again. "Of course," Master Ning promised. "First Elder, you have to be my witness." Lung Ruoshua winked at First Elder and smiled evilly. "All right, I'll be your witness. If this old man dares to go back on his words, he'll go to the divine realm and ruin his reputation." The First Elder chuckled. "Ah!" After hearing First Elder's words, Lung Ruoshua wondered if she had found the wrong person. As the master of the Ning family, was there any use in ruining his reputation? Who in the divine realm would dare to say anything bad about him? Unless it was a divine master. However, a divine master would not be so bored. As the crowd chatted, the auction officially began. The auction was divided into 3 rounds. The first round was only for the common items, and the second round was relatively more valuable. However, the third round was still the best. According to the usual practice, every guest who wanted to participate in the auction would get a list of items before the auction began so that they could prepare enough money for the items they liked. However, the auction this time was different because the guests only got the list of items for the first 2 auctions. As for the items for the last auction, the organizer had kept it a secret. However, the Ning family staff in charge of the auction still very cautiously told the major families that there would be good things in the third auction, and that they should prepare as much money as possible to avoid missing out on it. The Ning family's secrecy had actually raised the interest of all the major families. As a result, the number of families who had come to participate in the auction had actually doubled. Fortunately, the Ning family's auction ground was large enough, or else it would not have been able to accommodate the representatives of these families. Chapter 1132. Our Meeting Gift 4. Lung Ruoshua and the others sat in a spacious and comfortable VIP box. The front of the box was a huge crystal glass so they could easily see the situation in the auction hall. However, the people outside could not see them. They were quite satisfied with this design. After all, they did not want to be seen as monkeys by others. As the host's voice fell, the auction officially began. Most of the items in the auction this time were owned by the Ning family. Some of them were also put up for auction by other families. Yesterday, Lung Ruoxue had also instructed Feng to put up a few items for auction. In the first round of the auction, the items were ordinary and cheap. Most of them were medicinal herbs and ores, and the people present were not very interested in these items. Therefore, Lung Ruoxue had basically won them at an extremely low price. Little girl, what are you doing with so many ordinary herbs and ores? Master Ning asked with a puzzled look. That's right, little girl. Even if the old man is a blacksmith, he can't eat so many ores. Moreover, these ores are too common, so it's impossible to craft high-quality equipment. The Great Elder said disapprovingly. In his opinion, this girl's behavior was clearly a waste. Those things didn't need to be bought at all. It's not like I bought it for him. He's not the only tool master around me, Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. The Great Elder and Master Ning had nothing to say. As the last item was kept in Lung Ruoxue's bag, the first auction had come to a successful end. Other than a few items that Lung Ruoxue was not interested in, most of the items had been sold, and the owners of these items were naturally Lung Ruoxue. As the host of the auction, he knew very well that the crowd was not interested in the first auction. Therefore, only when someone called out a bid, it was basically a one-hit call. After all, the main event was later. After the second auction began, the crowd's reaction was slightly more enthusiastic than the first. However, none of the big families made a move, because they were all waiting for the mysterious last auction. Most of the items up for auction in the second round were pieces of equipment. Other than a few pieces of saint-level equipment that were sold for a good price, there were very few people who were interested in the other pieces of equipment. However, they had all found their owners. Lung Ruoxue and the others did not participate in this round. It was almost noon when the first two auctions had ended. After the lunch break, the third auction would begin in the afternoon. Seeing that there were still a few hours before the afternoon auction, Lung Ruoxue and the others decided to return to the inn to rest. After all, it was still early. However, as soon as they left the auction hall, they met the Ning siblings, and accompanying them were Ning Xiang and his son. What a coincidence! I'm surprised to see you here, Ning Qi said with a smile. Continuing reading on MYB0XN0VEL. Calm, it's quite a coincidence. Lung Ruoxue's tone was calm. She planned to walk past Ning Qi and her brother, who were blocking their way, and leave. Miss Lung, why don't we have a meal together? Ning Qi looked at her brother and invited him. Thank you for your kindness, Miss Ning, but there's no need for a meal. We're tired and would like to go back to the inn to rest. Please move aside. You're blocking our way. Lung Ruoxue rejected. Hey, Miss Ning is treating you to a meal because she thinks highly of you, so don't fail to appreciate her kindness. Before Ning Qi could speak, Ning Kai, who was beside her, spoke first. Ning Kai's lustful eyes were still sizing up Lung Ruoxue's body. His slightly cloudy eyes were filled with a stunning glow. Miss Ning doesn't need anyone to look up to her. Get lost and stay cool wherever you come from. Suddenly, a familiar voice spoke before Lung Ruoxue and the rest could. When Lung Ruoxue and the rest heard this voice, they turned around and immediately felt a headache. Why was it him? He actually dared to come to Peace City and wasn't afraid that these natives would swallow him alive. This was because this person was none other than the ape that they had met several times in the Ascender Alliance. Yuan Ho felt Lung Ruoxue's gaze and walked towards the crowd with a coy expression. He lowered his head shyly and said, Miss Ning, long time no see. That's right. Lung Ruoxue braced herself and said. Although she really wanted to pretend that she didn't know Yuan Ho, she was afraid that this Yuan Ho would pester her relentlessly. Hence, she could only agree to it. What did you call her? Miss Ning. Open your dog eyes and look clearly. She's not Miss Ning, she's a fake. Ning Qi laughed and exposed Lung Ruoxue's true colors. You're talking nonsense. You're the fake one. Yuan Ho immediately roared in anger when he heard that his goddess had been humiliated. Miss Ning Qi is a direct descendant of the Ning family's main family. How could she be a fake? If you dare to talk nonsense, I'll beat you up until all your teeth are out. When Ning Kai heard someone talking about Ning Chi, he immediately felt indignant. After all, his life was saved by the Ning siblings. Therefore, he naturally knew who his master was. All of you, shut up, Lung Ruoxue said with a slight headache. When these two ignorant and incompetent spoilt young masters met, it was like a volcano colliding with the earth. It was hard to determine the winner. However, they were simply too noisy. After being yelled at by her, the two of them actually shut their mouths. Lung Ruoxue then turned to Ning Chi and said, Miss Ning, have you forgotten that I told you that I take my mother's surname? Lung Ruoxue smiled as she reminded him. And you, young Master Ning Tsai, don't forget the head token in my hand. The siblings can save you once, but they may not be able to save you a second time. Lung Ruoxue looked at Ning Kai and warned him. If it wasn't for her being so insistent on dealing with the Ning family's rotten matters, it would have been impossible for Ning Kai to leave the cell. After she finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue gave the crowd a look. Everyone understood and immediately walked past them to return to the inn. However, after they left, a hellish voice rang in Ning Kai's mind. Watch out for your eyes if you dare to look around. Ning Kai's face instantly turned pale, and his entire body trembled in fear. When Yuan Ho saw that Lung Ruoxue and the rest had abandoned him, he immediately chased after them while shouting, Miss Ning, wait for me. As soon as he reached the entrance of the inn, Yuan Ho was stopped by Feng De, who was guarding outside the inn. Feng De glared at Yuan Ho and said fiercely, Go back to your inn. Miss hasn't been in a good mood these days. Be careful, she'll fix you up. Chapter 1133. Our Meeting Gift 5. What's wrong with Miss Ning? Yuan Hao's face was filled with anxiety. Come, I'll tell you. Feng De waved his hand, signaling Yuan Ho to come closer. It was unknown what Feng De said to Yuan Ho, but after Yuan Ho heard it, he immediately became angry and turned to walk in the opposite direction. In the room of the inn, Master Ning and the first elder stared at Lung Ruoxue curiously. However, neither of them said a word, only staring at Lung Ruoxue. Have you guys seen enough? Just ask whatever you want to ask, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Being stared at by a supreme divinity and a divine emperor, she felt like she had a big mouth. Not only them, but even Mo Yin and the other two were curious. Little girl, you're so smart. Since you asked, then tell me the truth. Why did that idiot call you Miss Ning? Master Ning was confused. It's a long story, Lung Ruoxue said calmly. She wasn't afraid that Master Ning would find out about this. After all, she didn't do anything to harm the Ning family's interests. She had only used Ning Rong, heir's identity. That was all. It doesn't matter, we have plenty of time, Master Ning said quickly. All right then. Lung Ruoxue knew that she couldn't muddle through this, so she could only tell them everything that had happened, including how she had come to the God world. After hearing this, a few people who didn't know the truth fell silent. Little girl, so you're all ascendants, Master Ning said after a while. Yup, I don't know how Master Ning, as a native, plans to deal with us. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly as she teased. Actually, the aboriginals and ascendants of the divine world are no longer as hostile to each other as before. It's just that there are still a small number of aboriginals who look down on ascendants. Thus, there will be occasional conflicts. In general, everyone can still live in peace and harmony. Otherwise, how could that ape dare to come to Ning City? Master Ning explained with a smile. Continuing reading on MYB0XN0VEL. Actually, when deities like them reached a certain height, their race and background were nothing. Furthermore, the divine realm revered the strong, and many magical beast experts treated them as equals. Thus, he did not care about the difference between ascendants and natives. In his eyes, as long as he found someone pleasing to the eye, they were all good, no matter how bad that person was. However, you used my identity as the young lady of the Ning family. Master Ning's tone changed, and he only spoke halfway before he stopped. What do you want? Lung Ruoxue asked in a cooperative manner. Didn't you say you were the lady of the Ning family? Then it's a done deal. Be my goddaughter, Master Ning said with a smile. He had been eyeing Lung Ruoxue for a long time. He had always regretted that the Ning family did not have such a smart girl who knew how to earn money. Now he had finally gotten the chance. It was an opportunity that could not be missed. What's in it for me to be your goddaughter? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. Being my goddaughter is already the best thing you can get. What else do you want? Master Ning was a little dumbfounded, but he couldn't help but wonder if things had changed. He had finally taken a fancy to a girl and wanted to take her as his goddaughter, but she still asked him for benefits. One must know that if such a thing were to happen in the immortal realm, as long as he spread the news, countless people would come to please him. However, it was precisely because he knew that Lung Ruoxue would not please him that he valued her even more, right? In your eyes, it's the biggest benefit. However, in my eyes, it's nothing at all. Additionally, I have to bear a certain risk to be your goddaughter. No matter how I think about it, it's not worth it. Forget it. You'd better leave this benefit to others. Lung Ruoxue shook her head, her face full of fear. What kind of risk does being my goddaughter have to take? Who dares to touch my people, unless he doesn't want to live? When Master Ning heard this, he immediately blew at his beard and roared. Coupled with his ghostly face, he was really as scary as it could be. Other people might not dare to do anything to me, but the Ning family might. If by any chance someone burning with jealousy wants to scheme against me, they'll have to make you feel awkward, right? Lung Ruoxue said honestly. With me around, who would dare to scheme against you? Master Ning roared in anger. That old man was right. This girl was too difficult to deal with. Sigh. Why was it so difficult for him to find a goddaughter that he liked? Can you still stay by my side forever? There will always be times when I'm alone, right? No matter who it is, as long as they provoke me, they won't have a good life. The same goes for the Ning family. So, for the peace of your old house, I advise you to give up this idea. Otherwise, if someone from the Ning family really offends me, I won't give you any face. Lung Ruoxue reminded. The more unwilling you are, the more I will take you as my goddaughter. Little girl, today I will say this. In the future, if there is a Ning family member who is blind and provokes you, you can deal with him, no matter who he is. Master Ning's temper flared up, and he almost roared out his promise. Little girl, since old man Ning has said so, then you should recognize him as your godfather. You see, he's quite pitiful, so just take it as pitying him. The great elder pleaded, but his words made Master Ning even angrier. You damned old man, how am I pitiful? You better explain yourself clearly. Master Ning's eyes were wide open as he looked at the great elder. You're begging her to be your goddaughter. Aren't you pitiful enough? The great elder said with a smile, but he was laughing in his heart. If old man Ning became the little girl's goddaughter, then he would be his junior. No matter how he looked at it, he would not lose out. Moreover, these people had old man Ning as their backing, so they would have a guarantee when they went to the divine world in the future. At least, those who had ideas about them would have to think twice. Little girl, are you going to agree or not? When Master Ning heard First Elder's words, he felt that he was rather pitiful, so he simply yelled at Lung Ruoxue. However, he still put on a pitiful look. I can agree to it, but I want a meeting gift, Lung Ruoxue said impolitely. Everyone knew that Master Ning was rich, so who else could she rip him off? As soon as she finished speaking, she received a look of approval from the First Elder. There's no problem with the meeting gift. Quickly acknowledge him as your godfather, Master Ning said eagerly, as if he was afraid that Lung Ruoxue would go back on her words. Godfather, please accept my 3 bows. Lung Ruoxue obediently bowed 3 times towards Master Ning. The simple ceremony of acknowledging him as her godfather was completed, and the great elder naturally had to be the witness. When you guys go to the divine realm, Godfather will hold a grand family recognition ceremony for you. This way, no one will dare to bully you in the divine realm. Master Ning said happily, Thank you, Godfather. Is this our meeting gift? Lung Ruoxue extended her fair and tender little hand in front of Master Ning. Ah, you little money grubber. Master Ning laughed as he scolded her. He helplessly took out a lotus-shaped brooch from his storage ring and handed it to Lung Ruoxue. The brooch was of a unique style, new and unique. The entire lotus was purple in three-dimensional shape, and the flower holder was made of mithril, looking noble and mysterious. After Lung Ruoxue had dripped her blood on the brooch, she realized that it was actually a high-grade defensive divine weapon. Even though it was not the highest-grade divine weapon, it was very suitable for her. Furthermore, there was a storage space in the middle of the lotus flower. The design was too ingenious. "Little girl, are you satisfied?" Master Ning asked despite knowing the answer. Such a beautiful and practical piece of equipment was hard for women to resist. "Thank you, Godfather." Here their meeting gift. Lung Ruoxue pointed at Fengde and the rest as she reminded them. I didn't bring that many welcome gifts, so they can owe me one." Master Ning wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and thought to himself, "This little girl is going to exploit me. All right, I believe that Godfather will not go back on his word." Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. "Old man Ning, you've taken this little girl as your goddaughter, so she'll be my junior in the future." At this time, the first elder also laughed and reminded Master Ning, who was a little too proud. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1134. Published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 16 seconds AM. Chapter 1134. 1134, what younger generation? How could I be your junior? Master Ning was puzzled, but Lung Ruhan and the others turned their heads away tactfully, laughing secretly in their hearts. "You've taken this little girl as your goddaughter, and am her god-grandfather. Aren't you my junior?" The first elder said with a proud expression. "Tisk little Shue or didn't acknowledge your status. Don't think too highly of yourself." Master Ning said disdainfully. "You want to be my elder? Maybe in the next life. Then I'm still older than you. Besides, don't forget that the little girl still has her grandfather." The first elder said with an evil smile. Master Ning turned to look at Lung Qingtian and the others, then said gloomily, "Let's talk about our own matters. A little girl is a little girl, and her family is her family." When Lung Qingtian heard Master Ning's words, he really wanted to tell him, "I don't want to be your senior either," but First Elder is using this matter to anger Master Ning. Moreover, the Great Elder was the grandmaster of that cheapskate ancestor of his family. Therefore, he could still distinguish between the inside and outside. "That won't do. Since you've acknowledged this little girl as your goddaughter, you can't ignore her family. Her family will also be your family in the future. He's your elder." The Great Elder firmly opposed. "I didn't say I didn't care. However, we still have our own opinions." Master Ning said fiercely. Sometimes, he even called the little girl's grandfather his brother. If the other party suddenly became his elder, he would definitely not be able to accept it. "You can argue with them, but you'll be my junior in the future," the first elder said with a smile. "In your dreams, you have to beat me first." Master Ning was so angry that he planned to use force to solve the identity problem between them. "You're a reverent god, yet you have the nerve to fight with me, a divine emperor's?" The first elder's eyes widened in disbelief. Master Ning was depressed. Well, was he really going to be eaten by this old thing? Don't worry, we'll still talk as equals in public, but he'll treat you as a junior in private," the first elder said with an evil smile. Master Ning was so angry that he couldn't speak. His resentful eyes kept drifting towards Lung Ruoxue, but Lung Ruoxue turned her head away and ignored him. After a long while, Lung Ruoxue slowly opened her mouth. "It's getting late. Let's go to the auction," he said. "Continue understanding MYB0XN0VL. Come, all right. Everyone immediately responded and left the room together. Seeing that everyone had left, Master Ning could only follow behind them, feeling wronged. Along the way, Master Ning couldn't understand. Not to mention in the Ning family, even in the divine world, he had a supreme status. No matter where he went, he was flattered and pursued. However, in the eyes of these people, he was no different from an ordinary old man. However, it was also because of this that he was willing to hang out with them and even ignored their rudeness. If this was seen by the Ning family, they would be scared to death. When they arrived at the auction venue, Lung Ruoxue and the rest walked straight to the VIP box with familiarity. The moment they entered, they realized that there was already someone inside. "Why are you guys here? This is our private room," Fonda asked when he saw the Ning siblings sitting inside. "The entire auction house belongs to the Ning family. We can sit wherever we want without anyone's permission," Ning Chi said with a proud smile. "Oh, really? Fonda, throw them out." Lung Ruoxue smiled and said without any emotion. "Who dares?" Ning Chi shouted. However, as soon as she finished speaking, she was the first one to be thrown out. Without any mental preparation, she fell to the ground on all fours, revealing her 2 white legs. Then, Ning Xiang and his son, who were accompanying the Ning siblings, were also thrown out. In the blink of an eye, only Ning Haoran was left in the room. "You've gone too far by treating a girl like this," Ning Haoran said angrily. His heart was filled with hatred. Damn it, these people really didn't give him any face. "I'm sorry, people who are an eyesore in my eyes are both men and women." Fonda was ready to attack Ning Haoran after he finished speaking. However, Ning Haoran was more powerful than him, so he was not stupid enough to deal with him alone. He secretly gave Cheng Wu and the others a look, and they all swarmed up and threw Ning Haoran out of the room before he could react. "Miss, it's finally quiet here." Fonda smiled at Lung Ruoxue after he was done. "Yes, ask Ning Fei to clean this place up." Lung Ruoxue nodded and ordered. "All right." "Yes," Fonda said, and went to find Ning Fei. After receiving Lung Ruoxue's order, Ning Fei immediately brought people to change everything. The refreshments and fruits were also served. Then, he looked at Lung Ruoxue uneasily and said, "Miss, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that this would happen." "It's okay. I know it was Ning Xiang and his son who made the decision. It's not your fault," Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. "Miss, do you want me to arrange for someone to stand guard outside in case someone comes to disturb you?" Ning Fei asked carefully. "No need. If someone really wants to come, your guards won't be able to hold on," Lung Ruoxue said. "Miss, I'll take my leave first," Ning Fei said very respectfully. Lung Ruoxue nodded, then turned her gaze to Master Ning. She smiled and said, "Godfather, I asked Fonda to throw your grandson and granddaughter out just now. You won't be angry, will you? You're their elder, and you can punish them however you want for disrespecting you," Master Ning said with a smile, but in his heart, he was secretly thinking, "Bad girl, you only remember to ask me now. Why didn't you ask for my opinion before throwing it?" However, he really didn't mind. "Come, it's good that Godfather said so. Don't worry, as long as they don't go too far, they'll let them live," Lung Ruoxue promised. Master Ning wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and thought to himself, "This girl is really ruthless." However, he admired her clear-minded personality. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1135. Published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 16 seconds AM. Chapter 1135. 1135. Not long after, the third auction officially began. The first item up for auction was a piece of defensive equipment. It was a low-level divine artifact and was a bracer. Although the decorations on it were very beautiful, it was only suitable for men. Ladies and gentlemen, the starting price of this wrist guard is 100 high-grade crystals, which is quite cheap. If the owner of this equipment didn't need money urgently, he wouldn't have auctioned it at such a low price. It's done. I know some people can't wait any longer, so please start filming now. The host of the auction was very eloquent. He didn't introduce the characteristics of the equipment, but used the low price as an entry point, which indeed hit the weakness of some people. This was also where he was smart. After all, although divine artifacts were difficult to make, it was only a primary divine artifact, so it wouldn't be that precious. As the host finished speaking, the shooting officially began. 150 top-grade crystals. 200 top-grade crystals. They'll pay 300. A few interested men called out their bids one by one, and soon, the price of the wrist guard increased several times. In the end, This piece of equipment was won by a small family at the price of 500 high-grade crystals. The second item on the stage was a round bead. This bead was completely black and was only the size of a baby's fist. It emitted a strong, dark attribute spiritual chi. Before the host introduced this item, some people had already started discussing it in private. What is this? Is it also an equipment? It doesn't look like it. The host listened to the discussion with a smile on his face. After a long while, he opened his mouth and introduced. Everyone stopped guessing. This pearl is actually the inner core of a sacred beast. What? The inner core of a sacred beast? That's good stuff. Continue orders for reading in MYB0XN0VL. I really didn't think that there would be a sacred beast inner core in this auction. Sigh. It would be great if it was some other attribute. Someone said with a regretful look. The inner core of a sacred beast was very practical. Not only could it be used to refine weapons, but it could also be used to refine pills. In addition, it could also be directly absorbed. Only beasts above the sacred beast level would produce an inner core. Spirit beasts and sacred beasts did not have inner cores. However, sacred beasts were not easy to kill. What's more, sacred beast level beasts were all very proud. If they realized that they were not the enemy's match, they would rather self-destruct than leave all their treasures to the enemy. Therefore, it was very difficult to take out the sacred beast's inner core in one piece. It was also because of this that the value of the sacred beast's inner core was determined. As soon as this inner core was revealed, it immediately stirred up the emotions of all the weapon and alchemy masters who came to the auction. Although there were very few deity with dark attribute, and the value of a dark attribute inner core was not as expensive as the inner core of other attributes, a complete inner core like this was still very rare. Therefore, many people were tempted. The host only briefly introduced the bead and didn't say anything else. He gave the guests enough time to digest this information. When the time was almost up, he smiled and said, "Distinguished guests, the starting price for this dark attribute inner core is 1,000 top-grade crystals. You can start the auction now." As soon as he finished speaking, someone impatiently called out a price. "I bid $1,500. The first person to bid immediately raised the price of the inner core to 1,500 pieces of high-grade crystal stones. Immediately, someone unwilling to be outdone raised the price to 2,000 high-grade crystal stones. Then, someone offered 2,500 high-grade crystal stones. 3,000 top-grade crystals. 3,500 top-grade crystals. And the price of this inner core was still rising. Lung Ruoxue and the others watched the intense competition through the crystal glass like outsiders. No one had any intention of bidding. "Aren't you all interested in this inner core?" Master Ning asked curiously. Didn't they have a dark attribute among them? Wouldn't it be just right to buy this inner core? What do we want it for? Fonda was puzzled. This dark attribute inner core. Can't you all use it? Master Ning explained. "We don't need it," Fonda said honestly. Little Shui, you don't want it either? Master Ning asked Lung Ruoxue directly. "No, this Naiden's grade is too low," Lung Ruoxue said directly. "And this little girl has good eyes. Although this is the inner core of a sacred beast, it is at most owned by a first or second rank sacred beast. There should be even better ones later on." The first elder said, "You guys are really cunning." Master Ning was speechless. These two foxes, one old and one young, were really a perfect match. However, even though Lung Ruoxue and the rest were not interested, it did not affect the others' pursuit of the sacred beast inner core. In the end, this sacred beast inner core was auctioned off at the price of 10,000 high-grade crystal stones. In the VIP box, the great elder looked at Master Ning in surprise, as if he had discovered a new continent. He just looked at Master Ning without saying anything, which made Master Ning's hair stand on end. "Damn old man, if you keep staring at me, don't blame me for being impolite." Master Ning couldn't bear it anymore and growled. "What's wrong with looking? Are you afraid of being embarrassed?" The first elder teased with a smirk. "Go away. You're the one who's shy. No one can stand you staring at them like that." Master Ning quibbled. I'm just curious. The first elder laughed softly. What are you curious about? Master Ning looked at the great elder with vigilance. No wonder your Ning family is so rich. Even a small inner core can be sold for 10,000 high-grade crystal stones, let alone other things. That's right, don't tell me the prices of the divine realm are all raised by your Ning family? You're so black-hearted. The great elder clicked his tongue in wonder. What are you talking about? They were the ones who wanted to buy it. What does it have to do with me? Don't you spout nonsense. Master Ning shouted angrily. If these words were to spread, the Ning family would definitely cause public anger. Moreover, if these words were said by someone else, he would probably laugh it off. But these words were said by the great elder, which was different. Although this old man's strength was not as high as his prestige in the divine world was not inferior to his. If his joke were to spread, it would bring trouble to their Ning family. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1136. Published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 15 seconds AM. Chapter 1136. 1136. Yes. One of you is willing to be hit, and the other is willing to suffer. The first elder laughed. With the appearance of the bead, the participants of the auction were more expectant of the next items that were about to appear. However, although the items after the bead were precious, their practical value was not as good as the bead. Therefore, they were not enthusiastically sought after and were only auctioned off at normal prices. The host had also expected that the items would not be very popular, so he did not introduce them too much. After the auction, he deliberately paused and said very seriously, "Everyone, the next item in going to auction has a starting price of 100 high-grade crystals. Now, everyone can start the auction." Hearing the host's words, everyone present was stunned. They were all a little puzzled. What did he mean? He didn't even tell them what the item was and just let them bid for it? This was really too strange. For a moment, no one spoke first. Seeing this, the host chuckled and said, "What's wrong? No one dared to bid? This is a new auction method implemented by our auction house. However, today is only a trial. As for whether you can get a good item, it will completely depend on your luck. The items on the stage may be precious items, or their value may not meet your expectations. In short, it will all depend on luck. How about it? Is there anyone who dares to be the first to eat the crab?" No one responded to the host's words, and the atmosphere became heavy. In the VIP box, the Grand Elder looked at the silent auction hall and teased with a smile. "I say, old man Ning, what the hell is your Ning family doing? Won't this way of patting scare everyone away? You're asking me, but who should I ask? I didn't decide on this." Master Ning said with wide eyes. "I wonder if this mysterious object can be auctioned off?" The great elder asked curiously. The moment he finished speaking, Lung Ruoshua started bidding. 150 top-grade crystals. Lung Ruoshua called out softly, "Little girl, are you sure you want to buy it? There's no need to give face to old man Ning." First elder warned, "Aren't you guys curious about what that thing is?" Lung Ruoshua asked with a smile. "Even so, there's no need to spend that money, right? If someone buys it, we'll see it too." The great elder said, "But I want to be the first one to eat the crab." Lung Ruoshua laughed. She did not believe that the Ning family had no ulterior motive for making such a move. Continue orders for reading Anderson MYB0XN0VL. After Lung Ruoshua was the first to bid, others followed suit. Not long after, the price had risen to 500 high-grade crystal stones. However, after the price had risen to 500 high-grade crystal stones, there were very few people who were willing to bid. For a moment, everyone was in a wait-and-see state. Lung Ruoshua saw that no one else was following, so she raised the price to 600. Seeing this, the host raised his little hammer and shouted, 600 once, 600 twice, 600. Just as the host was about to call for the third time, someone else suddenly made a bid. 700 top-grade crystals. The voice came from the VIP box. The moment Lung Ruoshua heard the voice, she knew it was Ning Chi-er. She immediately raised the price to 800. In another VIP box, Ning Chi held the megaphone in her hand and was about to continue bidding, but she was stopped by Ning Haoran. Cheer, stop messing around. If the price is too high and you can't take out the money, what will we do? Ning Haoran said with a slight headache. He did not think that his willful sister's action of raising the price was meaningful. Not only that, if Ning Chi went too far, she might be punished by the family. Therefore, he could not let Ning Chi continue to cause trouble like this. But we can't let that annoying woman get away with it. Ning Chi said angrily. She was a lady from the direct line of descent of the Ning family. Yet she had been thrown out like trash just now. She was so angry. Unfortunately, she had no way to take revenge for herself. She was unwilling to accept this, so she could only add some trouble to Lung Ruoxue. Didn't that woman want this thing? In that case, he would just have to pay a high price to get it. Following which, she raised the bid to 900, while Lung Ruoxue raised the bid to 1,000 high-grade crystal stones. In less than 10 minutes, the mysterious item's price had risen to 10,000 high-grade crystal stones. This price made everyone in the auction hall speechless. And this was just the beginning. When the bid reached 10,000 high-grade crystals, Lung Ruoxue immediately added another 5,000. Ning Chi was not to be outdone and followed suit by adding another 5,000. When the people present saw this scene, they all understood in their hearts. It seemed that the two people in the VIP box had a grudge. Otherwise, why would he raise the price for the other party like this? However, if they raised the price like this, they were afraid that both sides would suffer losses, and at that time, the Ning family would benefit. At the same time, some people were secretly guessing the identity of Lung Ruoxue and Ning Chi. However, they would never have thought that one of them was the young lady of the Ning family and the other was the goddaughter of the Ning family's master. Lung Ruoxue and the rest were in the VIP box. The first elder looked at Lung Ruoxue worriedly and could not help but remind her, "Little girl, stop shouting. It's already 50,000 high-grade crystal stones. If this thing is trash, then it'll be a huge loss." "I know what I'm doing." Lung Ruoxue smiled calmly, then asked Master Ning curiously, "Godfather, does the Ning family need to pay for the things they bought at the auction?" "Of course, the Ning family doesn't have any special privileges," Master Ning said with certainty. "That's good." Lung Ruoxue chuckled and immediately raised the price to 100,000 high-grade crystal stones. Her bid not only shocked everyone at the auction, but even the MC broke out in a cold sweat. The MC couldn't help but think in her heart, "This young lady is really too ruthless. I wonder who will win." 150,000 top-grade crystal stones. Before the MC could finish her thought, Ning Chi-er's voice rang out again. 200,000 top-grade crystals. As soon as Ning Chi made her bid, Lung Ruoxue followed suit. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1137. Published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 15 seconds AM. Chapter 1137. 1137, 250,000 top-grade crystal stones. Ning Chi shouted. "Stop shouting." In the private room, Ning Haoran covered Ning Chi-er's mouth with his hand and warned her, "Brother, don't stop me. I'm going to make this annoying woman bleed." Ning Chi pulled Ning Haoran's hand away and said angrily, 300,000 high-grade crystal stones. Immediately after, Ning Chi shouted again. However, everyone present thought that she was a little crazy because the other party did not bid at all, and she had forcibly raised her bid from 250,000 to 300,000. This made everyone speechless. "You're crazy." Hearing Ning Chi continue to bid, Ning Haoran's face darkened. "I will definitely make that damned Lung Ruoxue bleed." Ning Chi said a little crazily. "What blood? The other party isn't bidding at all. You're the only one who's bidding," Ning Haoran said angrily. As soon as he finished speaking, the host's voice was heard. "Congratulations to the lady in the number 2 VIP box for winning this item. Now please enjoy her luck." After that, the host revealed the mystery. It turned out that the mysterious item was just a holy weapon-level cup. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw the blue cup. Ugh! Although it was a saint weapon, what could a cup do? Now, They deeply suspected that the Ning family had made such a move to play with them. But even so, no one dared to say this out loud. However, the crowd also lost interest in the next auction item. When Ning Qi'er found out that she had spent 300,000 high-grade crystal stones but only got a cup, she was so angry that she almost died. Her hatred for Lung Ruoxue grew even deeper, but she was even more afraid that she would take the cup and ask her for money. "Brother, you have to help me." Ning Qi'er pulled Ning Haoran's arm and said coquettishly, "Help you? How do you want me to help you? Do you think I can take out so many Jingxi?" Ning Haoran said unhappily, "Continue underscoring NYB0X and 0VL. Come, brother, didn't you give that Ning Xiao 1,000 top-grade crystals? Help me pay this bill as well." Ning Qi'er requested. As a member of the Ning family, she was very clear about the rules of the Ning family. The family would not pay a single cent for the things she bought, so it was impossible for her to renege on the debt, even if this was the divine mainland. "I don't have any more money. You can settle this yourself. Don't come to me." Ning Haoran was a little annoyed. Did his sister think he was a crystal mine? If he ran out of money, he would ask him for it. It wasn't easy for him to save up some money. He had saved up the 1,000 top-grade crystals for a long time. "Brother," before Ning Qi'er could finish her sentence, she heard a knock on the door. Soon after, the guard of the auction house walked in with the Saint artifact cup. After placing the cup on the table, the guard said very respectfully, "Miss Ning, this is the cup you bid for. It's a total of 300,000 top-grade crystal stones. Please pay immediately." "Brother," Ning Qi'er looked at Ning Haoran and called out pitifully. However, Ning Haoran turned his head to the other side. "Miss Ning, please pay the full amount." The guard repeated, "Why are you so anxious? With my status, do you think I'd be short of your money?" Ning Qi'er shouted angrily, "Miss, as a member of the Ning family, you should know that this is the rule of the Ning family. I'm just following the rules. Please don't make things difficult for me." The guard said in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. The acting family head and the great elder had already instructed him to collect the debt. If he couldn't get the money back, he didn't need to come back. "How dare you say that I'm making things difficult for you? I don't want this thing anymore. You better return it." Ning Qi'er used this as an excuse. "I'm sorry, Miss Ning. We don't refund the items sold at our auction house. So, whether you want it or not, you have to pay for it. After you pay, I won't care even if you throw it away. So, don't make things difficult for me." The guard said helplessly. "You." Ning Qi'er was so angry at the guard that she couldn't speak. Her beautiful face was also flushed red. "Miss Ning, if you don't pay up, we'll report this to the main family. You'll have to pay for it too. Moreover, if the main family finds out about this, I'm afraid I'll be bad for your reputation." The guard reminded, "But I don't have that much money right now. What do you think I should do?" Ning Qi'er went all out. She had already lost face anyway, so why would she care about not paying? "Miss Ning, the head of the family has told the great elder that if you can't pay up, you have two choices. One is that we report this to the head of the family, and the other is to stay in the divine mainland and work for the Ning family until you pay off your debt. In addition, you have to pay interest." The guard said, "Please choose one. I'll go back and report after I've made my choice." The guard urged, "I'll stay in the godly mainland to work to pay off my debts." Ning Qi'er gritted her teeth. "All right, then please sign this contract, Miss Ning." The guard took out a contract from his storage ring and handed it to Ning Qi'er. "I've signed it, here you go." Ning Qi'er took the contract angrily. After signing her name, she threw it back to the guard. The guard looked at the name on the contract and nodded in satisfaction. He then turned and left. "Miss Ning, this cup is pretty." After the guard left, Ning Kai knew that Ning Qi'er was not in a good mood and comforted her. However, his comforting words made Ning Qi'er even angrier. "If you like it, I'll give it to you." Ning Qi'er picked up the glass and threw it directly at Ning Kai. Ning Kai was not prepared that Ning Qi'er would turn hostile, so he was hit by the glass. It even hit his head and blood started to flow. Although it was only a cup, it was still a saint weapon. Its hardness was incomparable to ordinary cups, so it could be damaged if it was smashed. "Thank you for your gift, Miss Ning. Ning Kai immediately ate a pill and said pitifully. He didn't know what he had said wrong. Whoa, why would he get beaten up for comforting people? He felt so wronged. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1138. Published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 14 seconds AM. Chapter 1138. 1138. Ning Xia was gritting her teeth gloomily, but Lung Ruoxue and the rest were very happy. In Lung Ruoxue's private room, everyone was discussing spiritedly, because none of them had expected that the mysterious item that was auctioned for 300,000 high-grade crystal stones was actually just a cup for drinking water. They just didn't know if it had any special effects, but this should be the most expensive cup in the divine realm. This time, Miss Ning was probably going to cry to death. Little girl, it's a good thing you didn't bid for that thing, or you'd have suffered a great loss. However, now that this cup has fallen into the hands of the Ning family, I don't understand. Did the Ning family profit or lose? The first elder said with a conflicted expression. Of course it's a profit, but it's a loss for Ning Qi. Lung Ruoxue said. Little Shuer, what did you tell that phoned kid just now? Master Ning was also curious. Not long after the mystery item was revealed, Lung Ruoxue had whispered something to Fonda, and Fonda had left after that. This had piqued Master Ning's curiosity. It's nothing. I just asked Fonda to tell Ning Fei and the first elder of the Ning family that if Ning Qi can't pay the money, she can sell her body to pay the debt. Of course, if you're willing to pay for her, that's fine too. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. She didn't need to guess to know that Ning Qi was definitely furious at this moment. She just didn't know which unlucky person would be implicated. I don't have any money, so we'll let her sell her body to pay off her debts. Master Ning said fearfully. You miser. You don't even care about your own descendants. The first elder laughed happily when he heard Master Ning's words. I have too many descendants. If I manage every one of them, I won't be able to manage them. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. Who could he blame for that? Who told you to give birth to so many? You were just asking for trouble. The first elder said with some schadenfreude. As the crowd teased each other, the next item was placed on the stage. The host looked at the crowd and said excitedly, Everyone, the starting price for this item is 50 high-grade crystals. The rules are the same as before, so you can bid now. After hearing the MC's words, the entire venue fell silent again. With the previous experience, they were now a little uninterested in this mysterious auction item. After all, no one wanted to spend a sky-high price to buy a cup. However, the auction had not officially ended, so those who wanted to leave did not dare to move. Who asked this to be the Ning family S? He didn't dare to not give the Ning family face. Continue _reading MYB0XN0VL. However, the crowd had already decided to be spectators. In any case, it was impossible to get money from them. After waiting for a moment, the host saw that no one made a bid and couldn't help but say in disappointment, No one is interested in this item? This was good stuff. It's hard to find even with 1,000 gold. Unfortunately, no one believed the host's words, even though he was exaggerating. The lesson from before was too profound, so profound that they didn't dare to easily lay their hands on unknown items. The risk was too great. Don't regret it if you don't bid. The host reminded him, not giving up. He was secretly worried. At this time, the auction venue was so quiet that even the sound of breathing could not be heard. Many people lowered their heads so that the MC would not remember their faces. They were very afraid that the Ning family would make life difficult for them after this. 100 top-grade crystals. Seeing that no one was speaking, Lung Ruoxue called out softly. The young lady in the first VIP box has bid 100 high-grade crystals. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? The MC said excitedly, It's good that someone is finally giving me face. When the crowd saw the host's excited look, they thought that he was excited because someone else had bid. 100 top-quality crystal stones, going once. 100 top-quality crystal stones going twice. After the host's hammer fell, he deliberately paused to give the others a chance to bid. However, it was obvious that no one appreciated his gesture. 100 top-quality crystal stones going thrice. This auction item now belongs to the lady in room 1. The host shouted excitedly. However, when he revealed the truth, everyone was dumbfounded again. This time, they were completely dumbfounded. This was because the mysterious auction item this time was actually a sparkling and translucent crystal doll. The little doll was only the size of a palm and had all the facial features. Its entire body was transparent, and there seemed to be a liquid flowing inside. Oh my God! What is this? Isn't this the spirit ginseng fruit? Why would there be a spirit ginseng fruit in an auction? What a pity! As soon as the items were revealed, some people wrung their hands, some people lamented, but most of them were regretful, and they were so regretful that they wanted to vomit blood. This was because the spirit ginseng fruit was too rare for cultivators. There were not many of these things in the divine world, and they were all sky-high prices. Ordinary cultivators could not afford it at all. However, not only did this spirit ginseng fruit appear in the auction, but it was also sold for 100 high-grade crystal stones. This result was hard for many people to accept. Immediately, some people began to question, "What kind of auction is this? Aren't you playing with us?" A middle-aged man took the lead. "That's right. We want to re-auction the spirit ginseng fruit." Some people jeered, but more people were just watching. When the MC heard what they said, she said calmly, "I've already said before the auction that this is a new game of our auction house. Whether the item is precious or not depends on luck. Moreover, before the auction, I've also said that this is definitely a good item that is hard to find. I can only say that you're not fated to have this spirit ginseng fruit. The lady in room 1 has won the bid for the spirit ginseng fruit. She's just lucky. So, don't be jealous. There's more good stuff down there. Don't miss it this time." The host reminded. After hearing the host's words, the scene became quiet again because they had been waiting for this sentence. After all, everyone knew that there was no reason to re-auction the things that had already been auctioned. If the Ning family really did this, where would their prestige be? In the future, who would dare to trade in the Ning family's auction house? The host saw that the crowd had quieted down, so he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and continued with the auction. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue had already received the spirit ginseng fruit. Looking at the lifelike doll in her hands, Lung Ruoxue could not help but sigh at the wonders of nature. Could this be the ginseng fruit that was mentioned in the novels of her previous life? She couldn't help but let her imagination run wild. Big sister, the people of the divine realm have fallen. They actually treat this broken thing as a treasure. Suddenly, Qing Ju's disdainful voice rang in Lung Ruoxue's mind. Isn't this good? Lung Ruoxue transmitted a question with a face full of suspicion. It's not bad. Actually, this thing is a kind of fruit. The spiritual energy contained in it is not bad. Otherwise, it would not be so sought after by those people. Qing Ju explained. We don't seem to have such a thing in our space. Lung Ruoxue asked out of curiosity. There's no such thing. Back when Old Master transplanted the fruit tree from the divine realm, this spiritual ginseng fruit was not qualified to enter. Qing Ju said matter-of-factly. How did the spiritual fruits in the space get in? Lung Ruoxue asked in confusion. She felt that Qing Ju's words were too contradictory. Sister, the spirit fruits that Old Master moved into the space are the best in all realms. I didn't know why he did this before, but now I know. Those spirit fruits were prepared for you. Qing Ju said with some sadness. The Old Master must have predicted that he would take his sister as a disciple. Hence, he had prepared those things. However, there were many things that he could not remember in the past. As the seal was removed, he could remember more and more things. Oh, Lung Ruoxue replied softly. Even though she did not know her master's true identity, she could vaguely guess that her master's identity was definitely not ordinary. Sister, you can keep this spirit ginseng fruit for now. Although it's not very useful, it can still be used to concoct pills. Qing Ju warned. All right, he said. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head slightly and thought sigh. Qing Ju's standards were too high. He didn't even care about the spirit ginseng fruit. She still remembered the reaction of the people outside when they found out that she had won the spirit ginseng fruit, with 100 high-grade crystal stones. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1139. Published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 14 seconds AM. Chapter 1139. 1139, however, Qing Ju's disdain could not stop Fengde and the rest from being curious about the spirit ginseng fruit. After they took the spirit ginseng fruit from Lung Ruoxue, they started to spread the news as if they had discovered a new continent. This is the first time I've seen a fruit that looks like a child. Is this good? Fengde asked curiously. Captain, how can you eat such a cute fruit? I don't dare to eat it. Lin Yuan asked curiously. I didn't say I wanted to eat it. I was just curious. Fengde said, a little speechless. Looking at the lifelike doll, he really couldn't bring himself to eat it. Little brat, this spiritual ginseng fruit is a kind of fruit unique to the divine realm. Although it's not the best, it's quite suitable for your current strength. Master Ning explained with a smile. Oh. Fengde nodded in understanding. Little girl, you can either eat this fruit now, or make it into an elixir. Otherwise, when you reach our level, any fruit will be useless. The first elder chimed in. He was trying to remind Lung Ruoxue not to waste it. No matter how good this fruit was, it would be of little use to powerful people. Yes, I plan to refine it into a pill. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Since many of the spirit fruits in her inner space were of a higher grade than this, one spirit ginseng fruit was nothing to her. Moreover, there were so many of them, so one spirit ginseng fruit was not enough to split among them. Miss, are you really going to refine it into a pill? Sueju looked at the white, tender, and clear fruit in her hand and said with some reluctance, well, silly girl, that's just a fruit. With Godfather here, we can eat any kind of fruit we want in the future. Lung Ruoxue chuckled. Right? That's right, huh? This old thing is very rich and has a lot of good things. Don't let him go. The first elder immediately chuckled in agreement. You guys are so bad. You only know how to bully me, Master Ning said with a wrong face. Godfather, we didn't bully you. Did you just say that you want to be my goddaughter? You have to give me some benefits. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. Here, however, my good things have almost all been plundered by this old thing, so you can go and rob him. Master Ning pointed at the great elder and said fiercely, Old man Ning, when have I ever plundered your things? Don't wrong me. Who in the divine realm doesn't know that you're a miser? You can only lie to this little girl. No one would believe that. First elder immediately retorted. Continue understanding YB 0xn0VL. Calm, you didn't do it a while ago? And before? Master Ning said with wide eyes. That's your Ning family's money, not yours. The first elder pouted. Aren't the Ning family's things mine? Master Ning shouted at the top of his voice. That's compensation. Do you understand compensation? Old man Ning, I was scolded because of you I was locked up in prison. You haven't compensated me yet, but I will remember it for you. First elder warned. He might be able to hold on for a while, but he would not be able to hold on for a lifetime. He would get back these debts sooner or later. I don't have money. Go get it from whoever scolded you. Don't look for me. Master Ning was ready to play dirty to the end. Godfather, great elders, stop bickering. The auction has started again. Lung Ruoxue felt a slight headache as she reminded him. She really had to give it to them. These two old men who had lived for God knows how long could actually quarrel over such a small matter. However, this might be the joy of their friendship. When the two of them heard this, they immediately shut their mouths in tacit understanding and continued to enjoy the show outside. After the climax of the spirit ginseng fruit, the host waited for everyone to calm down a little before ordering people to present the next item. Looking at the eager expressions of the audience, the host smiled with satisfaction and said, Everyone, the starting price for this item is also 50 top-grade crystals. Everyone can start bidding now. As soon as the MC finished speaking, the people sitting below the stage couldn't wait to start bidding. 100 top-grade crystals. Someone spoke first. 500 top-grade crystals. After one person made a bid, another person immediately raised the price to 500. However, this still did not stop the enthusiasm of the crowd, and the price continued to rise. In less than half an hour, the price of this mysterious item had already risen to 100,000 high-grade crystal stones, and there were still people who continued to bid. The host looked at the heated auction scene and was extremely satisfied. This time, their auction house could make a big profit again. He really admired the Great Elder for being able to think of such a method. The Great Elder's gift was also clever enough. However, he also knew to stop while he was ahead. When the price of this item rose to 200,000 high-grade crystal stones, he decisively sold it. When the mystery of this mysterious item was revealed, the owner of the item was a little disappointed, but not too pained. After all, this item was about the same price as the one he had bid for. However, its practicality was far inferior to the spirit ginseng fruit. The next few items were also auctioned for more than 100,000 high-grade crystal stones. However, the people who got them were not very satisfied. After all, there was still some gap from their expectations. However, they could not blame anyone, because the host had said that what could be won would depend on luck. Don't worry everyone, there's even better ones coming up. The host calmed the crowd down a little before continuing the auction. Although the previous few items were not completely satisfactory, their curiosity had been completely aroused. Therefore, they were extremely enthusiastic about the upcoming items. When the host ordered someone to bring up another item, everyone present could feel the rich spiritual energy that was emitted from that item. Instantly, everyone became excited. The starting price for this item is still 50 pieces of high-grade crystal stones. Now, everyone can start bidding. 500, 2,000, they'll pay 3,000. Everyone started bidding, and the price was quickly raised. Lung Ruashue and the others were in the VIP box. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1140. Published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 13 seconds AM. Chapter 1140. 1140 Master Ning looked at the crowd outside the crystal glass and was very satisfied. However, he was quite curious why Schwer didn't bid. Little Schwer, don't you want this thing? Master Ning asked curiously. I don't want to. Lung Ruashue replied without hesitation. Even though the spiritual energy of this item was not bad, she didn't really need it, so she naturally wouldn't bid. If I'm not wrong, this should be a medicinal herb, the Great Elder said with a look of understanding. It seemed that Ning Fei and the others had put in a lot of effort for today's auction. Little girl, wouldn't it be perfect if you bid for the medicinal herbs? Master Ning reminded. I don't want to. With so many people bidding, the price will definitely be raised. I don't want to be a spendthrift. Lung Ruashue replied matter-of-factly. Actually, she had her own cheating device. Therefore, they knew very well what the item being auctioned was, so they would not bid easily. Even though Lung Ruashue and the rest were not interested in such an item, it was still sold for close to 300,000 high-grade crystal stones. After the mystery that everyone was anticipating was revealed, everyone finally found out that it was a 1,000-year-old ginseng. After the ginseng, the host took out a few more items. However, the value of those items made the owners of those items extremely depressed because they had made a loss. Everyone, we will now be displaying the last item of this auction. The starting price is also 50 high-grade crystals. Everyone can start bidding now. The host said the same thing as usual, but he had to say it. However, after experiencing the ups and downs of the previous items, the people present were much calmer and more rational. Although in the past auctions, the last item would definitely be the most valuable item, this time no one dared to be sure. The Ning family's play had already broken their usual way of thinking. In the previous auctions, many people had spent almost all their money, so there were no more people left who could bid for the last item. Everyone, this is the last item of this auction. If you don't bid, don't regret it. The host reminded him, as usual. I bid 100 pieces of top-quality crystal stones. After the MC finished speaking, the crowd was silent for a long time before someone made a bid. I bid 150 pieces of high-grade crystal stones. Another person made a bid. Just like that, the price of this item rose at a snail's pace. It was clear that the crowd's enthusiasm for this last item was not very high, and towards the end, there were very few people who bid. When the price rose to 500 pieces of high-grade crystal, the crowd went silent again. No one continued to bid. Continue understanding Anderson, MYB0XN0VL. Calm, however, the host didn't strike the small hammer in his hand, as if he was waiting for something. 510 top-grade crystals. Suddenly, Lung Ruox's voice rang out in the hall. After everyone heard her words, several black lines flowed down from their foreheads in unison, and they couldn't help but curse in their hearts. Was it worth shouting for just 10 high-grade crystals? Ning Chi-er, who was in the other private room, was about to raise the price after hearing Lung Ruox's bid, but Ning Haoran quickly covered her mouth. "Shut up! You're not allowed to make any more noise." Ning Haoran felt a headache coming on. This sister of his was too insensible. He had already told her to get along well with Lung Ruoxue, but she just wouldn't listen. He was really infuriated. "Brother, don't forget that we were all humiliated by her just now. Are you really going to take it lying down?" Ning Chi-er pulled down her brother's hand and said angrily, "The Grand Madam's personal token is in her hands, so even if she can't bear it, we have to bear with it." Ning Haoran warned. He had always been a flexible person, so he would not fall out with Lung Ruoxue and the others over such a small matter. However, he would not forget the humiliation he had suffered today. "Don't forget that you just signed a contract to stay on the godly mainland to pay your debt. Do you really want to stay here forever?" Ning Haoran said, "I don't want to. This is all the fault of that damned Lung Ruoxue." Ning Chi-er said with hatred in her eyes. "Humph. She would definitely not let Lung Ruoxue off. Chi-er, I won't let her off either. However, we can only endure it for now. When the time is right, you can do whatever you want to her." Ning Haoran promised. "Really? Big brother, don't lie to me." Ning Chi-er had a look of disbelief. "Chi-er, no matter who I lie to, I will never lie to you. Don't tell me you don't even believe your brother's words?" Ning Haoran raised his eyebrows and asked, "Of course I believe what you said, brother. I'm just afraid." Before Ning Chi-er could finish her sentence, she heard the MC's voice. She was even more furious. Damn it. She only used 510 high-grade crystals to get a top-grade moon crystal. How can her luck be so good? There's definitely something fishy here. Ning Chi-er couldn't be bothered with her brother's topic and shouted in jealousy. Even though she was not a weapon refiner, she was still very clear about the value of a moon crystal. A moon crystal the size of a fingernail could possibly upgrade a saint weapon to a divine weapon. Furthermore, the moon crystal that Lung Ruoxue had won was bigger than 2 adult fists combined. This was really too unreasonable. The more Ning Chi-er thought about it, the angrier she got. Then, without caring about the consequences, she mocked the audience and shouted, "There's something fishy about this auction. They're definitely colluding." As soon as Ning Chi-er said this, the auction hall burst into an uproar. Those who were already dissatisfied took the opportunity to make a fuss. "That's right. Your Ning family is really disappointing. The things that were auctioned off before were all sold for such a high price, but the most valuable moon crystal was only sold for 510 high-grade crystals. We demand that the Ning family give us a reasonable explanation immediately. Otherwise, don't even think about us attending their auctions in the future." A discordant voice was heard from the crowd, but the owner of the voice did not dare to show his face. "What explanation do you want to hear? Don't tell me that the Ning family's auction items are worth a lot of money and we need your consent. They'll say it for the last time, I've already said that the new game is based on luck. Can you blame others for your own bad luck? Also, do you dare to stand out and let us see who you are?" The host's sharp words immediately quieted down the somewhat restless scene, and his eyes that were searching around made people not dare to look at him directly. Calm. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1141. Published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 13 seconds AM. Chapter 1141. 1141. What's wrong? No one dared to speak. My Ning clan's auction has always had a good reputation in the divine realm. If any of you want to doubt the reputation of our Ning clan, you don't have to come and participate in the future. Seeing that no one dared to speak, the host continued. Don't be fooled by him. The woman who won the moon crystal is with them. Seeing this, Ning Chi shouted through the crystal glass. However, just as she finished shouting, she heard a paw. Ning Chi's beautiful face was slapped. Ning Chi looked at Ning Haoran in disbelief. With tears in her eyes, she said, Big brother, why did you hit me? Do you know what you're saying? Even if you have any dissatisfaction, you can't ruin the Ning family's reputation in front of outsiders. If this matter were to be spread back to the main family, do you still want to live? Ning Haoran said with a face full of disappointment. If the old ancestor knew about this, he would definitely not let Ning Chi off. Now, he really regretted bringing Ning Chi to the divine mainland. Not only did she not help him, but she had also caused him trouble. I didn't say that Lung Ruoxue is from the Ning family. Ning Chi argued. She did not think that she had done anything wrong. On the contrary, she felt that she was placing righteousness before family to protect the Ning family's reputation. Just because you didn't say it doesn't mean that others won't think about it. Did you forget that the owner of this auction house also has the surname Ning? Ning Haoran said angrily. In the VIP box, Ning Haoran was lecturing his sister. However, the host on the auction stage was quite calm, and one could not even see the slightest bit of panic on him. Everyone, those who know our Ning family, should know our Ning family's rules. Whether you're a member of the Ning family or not, if you want to buy something at the auction house, you have to pay according to the price. And the lady in the number 1 VIP box is indeed our Ning family's distinguished guest. However, the lady who just said that we're in the same group, I want to ask, as the lady of the Ning family's main family, are you not in the same group as us? The host asked very calmly. The two young ladies who won the first and the last mystery item are both from the Ning family, but their luck is completely different. If you still think that there's something fishy about our auction, then I have nothing to say. Just listen to me. The MC paused on purpose and said nonchalantly. Since he had already pointed out Ning Chi's identity, there was no need to say anything more. As for what others would think, it would be none of his business. The MC's words had a certain effect. After everyone knew Ning Chi's identity, they thought of the latest good luck in the know. 1 VIP box. They didn't need to think to know that this was an internal fight in the family. It was all because of jealousy. After thinking it through, everyone calmed down and stopped brooding over this matter. After all, the Ning family's auction price was clear and honest. They couldn't blame anyone for not getting the moon crystal. Who asked them to be so timid? At this moment, in Lung Ruoxue's and the others' VIP box, Master Ning's face was dark as he glared at the person in VIP box number 2 across the crystal glass, wishing he could kill the person in there. I say, Old Man Ning, stop staring. Unless you dare to release your pressure, otherwise, people can't feel it at all. Don't waste your energy. The great elder couldn't stand it anymore and reminded him. Continue reading Anderson, MYB0XN0VL. Calm, don't stop me, this unfilial grandson. If I had known that she would be like this, I would have strangled her to death when I gave birth to her. Master Ning said angrily. Don't worry, Godfather, we won't stop you. If you need any help, just let me know. Lung Ruoxue laughed and teased. Schwer, this is all your fault. You can't just leave it be, can you? Master Ning said with I'm counting on you look. What does this have to do with me? Godfather, please don't wrong me. Lung Ruoxue felt wronged. Her beautiful eyes were glistening with tears, making the evildoer's heart ache. Master Ning, it's clearly your grandson's fault. How can you blame my Schwer? The demon squinted his eyes and said unhappily. How could this little girl be yours? You two aren't even married. Master Ning provoked him on purpose. Marriage is just a formality. Schwer is mine. This is a fact that no one can change. Whoever dares to take my Schwer away, it'll definitely make him regret ever being born. The demon warned. Master Ning was speechless. He had also realized that those who were with Lung Ruoxue had a serious tendency to be violent. He couldn't afford to offend him. Just as Master Ning was moaning and sighing, the guards had already delivered the moon crystal stones that Lung Ruoxue had won. After the transaction was completed, the great elder looked at the rather large moon crystal and said with a drool, "Little girl, you're so lucky. You can buy such a big moon crystal at such a low price." Moon crystals were extremely precious to blacksmiths. With them, even a blacksmith master without a natal divine fire could raise the quality of a saint weapon to a higher level. Although the success rate was not 100%, it could at least reach 60%. Therefore, moon crystals had always been hard to find, not to mention such a large piece of top-grade moon crystal. It was something that could not be bought with money. The quality of equipment that could be improved by the moon crystal was not something that other moon crystals could compare to. "Yes, I've always been lucky," Lung Ruoxue replied without any hesitation. "Little girl, can you give me some of these stones?" the first elder said, a little embarrassed. Ordinary moon crystals were not of much use to him, but they were of the highest quality, and he really needed them. "Sure, let's each take half," Lung Ruoxue said generously. "Swear, don't you know how precious these moon crystals are? This is a peak-grade moon crystal," Master Ning reminded. "I know. It could only improve the quality of equipment. It's not a big deal," Lung Ruoxue replied nonchalantly. Actually, she had kept half of it for the old man. She had no use for it herself. The purity of her flame was much better than this moon crystal. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1142. Published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 12 seconds AM. Chapter 1142. 1142. Master Ning was speechless. He had thought that this little girl didn't know how precious moon crystals were. After all this, they didn't even take it seriously. However, he was really curious about what this little girl cared about. "Little girl, I want to take your things for free. In the future, if you need anything, just let me know," the first elder said with a smile. "Okay, don't worry. I won't be polite," Lung Ruoxue chuckled. After she finished speaking, she took out a tool and split the moon crystal stone into two. She handed one half to the first elder and kept the other half into her bracelet. After the distribution was done, Lung Ruoxue and the rest prepared to leave the auction hall. Unfortunately, when he reached the door, he met the Ning siblings and Ning Xiang and his son. "You're really like a ghost that can't leave. Why do I see you everywhere I go?" Before Lung Ruoxue and the rest could say anything, Ning Qi started to complain. She was in a bad mood after being scolded by her brother. "Miss Ning, that's exactly what I wanted to say, but I don't think you have time to waste on me now. You'd better think about how to explain what you just did to the Ning family," Lung Ruoxue reminded kindly. "What did I do just now? Don't wrong me," Ning Qi shouted angrily. She didn't feel that she was in the wrong at all, and she wouldn't allow Lung Ruoxue to laugh at her. "You didn't do anything. You just said something you shouldn't have," Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. After she finished speaking, she led the crowd and walked past Ning Qi, leaving the auction house without looking back. After returning to the inn, Lung Ruoxue greeted everyone and went straight into her room. And this time, she returned to her room and did not show her face for 3 days. In the living room, the first elder and Master Ning stared at each other. For the past 3 days, Lung Ruoxue had shut herself in her room to cultivate while Fengde and the rest were busy with something. The Ning siblings did not appear in front of them, causing the two old men to be bored. "I say, old man Ning, where are the two descendants of your family?" the grand elder asked curiously. "He's probably making money to pay off his debts," Master Ning guessed. He did not pay much attention to the whereabouts of the two people. It was likely that they would not have a good time, because on the day the auction ended, he had sent news of Ning Qi performance in the auction house back to the family, and someone would naturally take responsibility for this matter. Continue understanding MYB0XN0VL. Come I wonder if they can learn their lesson this time, the first elder said with an evil smile. "I should be able to." Master Ning was not sure either. He was getting more and more disappointed with the performance of the younger generation in the family. Not only did they scheme against each other all day long, but they also tarnished the family's reputation, which was what he could not tolerate the most. Therefore, he had ordered the family to punish Ning Qi severely. As for Ning Haoran, he was implicated by Ning Qi. Just as Master Ning had expected, Ning Qi and Ning Haoran were currently working like cows and horses in the Master Ning residence, in the backyard of the Ning family's main residence. Ning Qi looked at the pile of dirty clothes in front of her and scolded angrily. "Damn you, Ning Fei! How dare you ask me to do these servants' things? I won't let him off when I return to the main family." The more she thought about it, the more she hated Lung Ruoxue. She blamed it all on Lung Ruoxue. "Miss Ning, if you can't finish washing these clothes today, don't even think about going back to the guest house. This is the order of the host." Ning Qi curses were heard by Ning Fei, who came to check, but he was not angry at all. Instead, he smiled and said to Ning Qi, "Ning Fei, do you know who you're talking to?" Ning Qi's beautiful face was red as she gritted her teeth in anger. She was a direct descendant of the main family, and Ning Fei, who was only a branch family in the godly land, dared to treat her like this. She really didn't want to live anymore. "Miss Ning, although you're the main family's young miss, everything I'm doing now is completely according to the main family's orders. So if you want to blame someone, blame the main family," Ning Fei said with a smile. However, before he left, he still reminded Ning Qi to wash these clothes. If they did not pass the inspection, she could not return to the inn. Ning Qi glared at Ning Fei's back with hatred. However, no matter how much she hated him, she had to finish washing these clothes. Otherwise, unless she could kill the Nings in the godly mainland or bribe them, they would definitely complain to the main family. Compared to Ning Qi's depression, Ning Fei was in a very good mood. He really didn't expect that the main family would give him such an order, asking him to train Ning Haoran and his sister. Didn't that mean that they wanted him to torture them? Ning Fei went back to the study with a smile on his face. The first elder of the Ning family was waiting for him in the study with a serious face. "Fei, you're back," the first elder said indifferently. "Is there something you need, first elder?" Ning Fei said with a puzzled look. "Fei, don't torture the Ning siblings too much, or else, if the main family forgives them, we'll be the ones to suffer," the Ning family's first elder said worriedly. Although the main family punished them now, who knew if they would let them go? If the main family didn't pursue the matter, these two siblings would definitely make things difficult for them. "First elder, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. I have a feeling that they won't be able to make a comeback this time," Ning Fei guessed. He was one of the witnesses of Ning Qi's words at the auction house. After that, the host ordered the punishment of the siblings. It was very likely that Lung Ruoxue was the one who did it. Therefore, how could Miss Lung give them a chance to turn things around? Wouldn't that be asking for trouble? When he thought of this, he was even more determined to follow Lung Ruoxue's footsteps. He definitely could not let that pair of siblings run around. After the Ning siblings lost their power, he directly locked up Ning Xiang and his son. This time, no one could think of getting them out. "Fei, no matter how much the master likes Ning Xiang, he can't be the master. So, you just need to manage the Ning family well. That way, you can have a place in the master's family in the future," the Ning family's first elder said earnestly. "First elder, I know," Ning Fei said gratefully. Supreme Crazy Wife Chapter 1143, published at 25th of August, 2022, 2:48 and 12 seconds AM. Chapter 1143. 1143, do a good job. The first elder of the Ning family patted Ning Fei's shoulder and then left the study. The Ning siblings didn't finish their work until it was very late. After they returned to the inn, they lay in bed and didn't want to get up. The fact that they were so tired showed how much work Ning Fei had arranged for them. The next day, the brother and sister both pretended to be sick and refused to get up. After hearing the news, Ning Fei came to the shop to visit in person, even bringing an alchemist with him. Ning Haoran's room. Ning Fei looked at Ning Haoran, who was lying on the bed with a pale face. He could not believe that Ning Haoran was sick. People in the divinity could be called gods. How could they fall sick like ordinary people? In his opinion, the two were just pretending. However, they were still the direct descendants of the main family, so Ning Fei would not force them. Young Master Ning, how is it? I brought an alchemist with me. Why don't you ask him to help you refine some pills? Ning Fei said with a smile and a caring look. No need, I've already eaten. Ning Haoran suppressed his anger and pretended to be extremely weak. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Was this considered being bullied by a dog? He was still a direct descendant of the Ning family. Although he didn't dare to say that he could call the wind and summon the rain in the Ning family, he was at least a famous person in the younger generation. When had he ever been bullied like this? He would deal with these people when he returned to the immortal realm. If he didn't take revenge, he would write the word Ning backwards. Ning Haoran was filled with hatred in his heart, but he still had to show gratitude on his face. Since that's the case, then young noble Ning should have a good rest today. I'll report your illness to the main family. Ning Fei said with a faint smile. Then he turned around and left Ning Haoran's room without giving him a chance to speak. After leaving Ning Haoran's room, Ning Fei went to see Ning Qi again. However, it was not appropriate for a man to go into a girl's room, so he just greeted her outside the room and left. As soon as Ning Fei left, the door of Ning Qi's room opened. Ning Qi ran out of her room and ran into Ning Haoran's room. Big brother, I can't take it anymore. Quickly think of a way. I want to go back to the divine realm now. Ning Qi's face was bitter, and she said in a flustered manner, I don't want to go back. We have to leave. Moreover, even if we return to the divine realm, we will still be punished. Moreover, the reason why we are in this state is all because of you. Ning Haoran shouted angrily. As long as he thought about how he had been implicated by Ning Qi, the anger in his heart would go hoo-hoo. Scurrying upwards. How can you blame me for this? I'm doing this for the good of the Ning family. Ning Qi argued, feeling wronged. Continue reading from MYB0XN0VL. Calm, you still have the face to say that? If it wasn't for what you said at the auction that day, would we have been punished by the family? Ning Fei was so angry that his face turned red and his neck became thick. He had already asked his father, and this was a direct order from the master of the family. Unless the master was willing to let them go, no one could help them. It's all because of Lung Ruoxue. I won't let her off. Ning Qi said hatefully. It's not her. The order was given by the master. Ning Haoran said with a slight headache. He had already told the old ancestor to tell Ning Qi to restrain herself in the divine mainland and not to provoke Lung Ruoxue, but she just wouldn't listen. Now, not only did she bring trouble upon herself, but she had also implicated him. She was the one who told the head of the family. Otherwise, how would the old ancestor know about this? Ning Qi said through gritted teeth. Didn't I tell you that our ancestor is in the godly mainland? There were so many people who attended the auction that day. Do you think this matter won't spread? Ning Haoran said speechlessly. He was really annoyed with his sister. A woman's jealousy was really inexplicable. Actually, thinking about it carefully, Lung Ruoxue had not done anything too overboard to Ning Qi. However, Ning Qi just did not like her. She did not even listen to his advice and went against her time and time again. Now, she was fine, but they had been punished. What do we do now? Brother, you have to think of something. I don't want to wash clothes anymore. Ning Qi said gloomily. She knew that Ning Fei was messing with her on purpose. Otherwise, how could there be so many clothes to wash? She had been washing clothes every day for the past few days, and now she felt like puking when she saw dirty clothes. If she continued to wash, she would go crazy. AI. Now, we can only start with Lung Ruoxue. She has the Grand Ancestor's personal token, so letting us go is just a matter of a word from her. Why don't we go and beg her? Ning Haoran said after thinking for a while. What? He still had to go and beg that woman? No, I don't want to. When Ning Qi heard her brother's suggestion, she almost vomited blood in anger. After all, she had always felt that Lung Ruoxue was the one who had caused them to be punished. Now, they still had to go and beg that woman for mercy. This was something that she could not accept no matter what. Then you have a way. If you don't beg her, you can stay in the godly mainland and wash clothes for the rest of your life. Let's see if anyone in the main family still remembers you. Ning Haoran coldly reminded. There were many people in a big family. Someone could rise to the top position at any time, and someone could fall like a meteor in an instant. Therefore, if he wanted to have a respected position in the family, he couldn't relax his vigilance for a moment. Ning Qi'er hesitated. Although she knew that her brother's words were not unreasonable, she just could not accept it. You what? If you have a good idea, we won't go and beg her. If you don't, then come with me to find her. Ning Haoran rolled his eyes at Ning Qi'er. Then, he opened the door and went to look for Lung Ruoxue. Brother, wait for me. I'll go with you. Although Ning Qi'er was not willing to bow down to Lung Ruoxue, she knew that her brother's suggestion was correct. So, she could only brace herself and follow. The two of them came to the third floor and found the door to Lung Ruoxue's room. Just as they were about to knock on the door, it opened and Fonda walked out. When he saw the two siblings, he asked in confusion, "What are you guys doing here? My lady is cultivating. Can you ask Miss Lung to stop for a while? We have something to discuss with her." Ning Haoran asked politely, "What do you think?" Fonda was speechless. He already said that his miss was cultivating, but he still wanted her to stop and see them. What kind of people were they? Fonda, let them in. Master Ning said after hearing the voice. You guys can go in. Fonda stepped aside and let the Ning siblings in. The Ning siblings walked into the living room and looked around, but they did not see Lung Ruoxue. Where's Lung Ruoxue? She's the one we're here to see. Ning Qi asked in dissatisfaction. Are you deaf? Didn't I say that my family's young miss is currently cultivating? Fonda said unhappily. If Master Ning hadn't let them in, he wouldn't have let the brother and sister in. We only want to see Lung Ruoxue. Ning Qi'er was a little angry. It's the same if you tell me anything, Master Ning said indifferently, his shrewd eyes constantly sizing up his two grandsons. Can an ugly monster like you make the decision? The person we want to see is Lung Ruoxue. Hurry up and ask her to come out. Ning Qi'er said arrogantly. When Master Ning heard Ning Qi'er's words, he was depressed. Oh, he was actually scolded by Ning Qi'er again. How preposterous. However, before he could say anything, Fonda spoke first. Miss Ning, if you have something to say, just say it. If you have anything to say, just fart. Our miss really doesn't have time to see you. When Fonda heard this, he was also angry and said impolitely, you two little fellows, if I'm not wrong, you're here to ask this little girl for help, right? At this moment, the great elder asked with a smile. Yes, we do have a favor to ask, Ning Haoran said respectfully. He already knew the identity of the person in front of him, so he did not dare to be presumptuous. Is this the attitude you have when you're asking for help? Fonda rolled his eyes at Ning Qi'er and said unhappily. Chapter 1144. The God of Plagues, Purpose 1. What did I do? Ning Qi'er raised her head, not feeling like she had done anything wrong. I'm sorry, this sister of mine has been pampered since she was young. Please don't take it to heart. Ning Haoran quickly said. He even glared at his sister, signaling her to shut up. They were here to ask for a favor, so they should lower their status and not act like Ning Qi'er. Therefore, he did not want his sister to say anything more, or else she would ruin the whole thing. What if we haggle over it? Fonda asked with a smirk. Well, Ning Haoran didn't know how to continue. It was the first time he had met someone as direct as Fonda. If it were anyone else who heard him say that, they would say, I want to argue with her. Unfortunately, these people didn't play by the rules, so he didn't know how to answer. Fonda kid, don't be angry. Let's hear their intentions first. The great elder laughed again. Actually, he mainly wanted to hear what this pair of siblings would say. Moreover, old man Ning was also here, so these two siblings wouldn't be able to play any tricks. If you have something to say, then say it. Although Miss isn't here, as long as it's not a big deal, we can make the decision. Fonda said with a smile. It's like this. A few days ago, because of what my insensible sister said, we were punished by the family. So, I would like to ask Miss Lung to help us plead for mercy. I can guarantee that this kind of thing will never happen again in the future. Ning Haoran thought for a while, and then said, Young Master Ning, it's not good for my young lady to meddle in your Ning family's affairs. You've asked the wrong person for help. Feng stole a glance at Master Ning and said calmly, Why can't I interfere? Doesn't she have the personal token of my ancestor? Ning quickly said, So what? Even if my family's young miss has your ancestor's token in her hands, she can't casually abuse it. Otherwise, if your family's old ancestor finds out, he will blame my family's young miss. It's better for you to go and ask your ancestor for help. Feng rejected without even thinking, but he couldn't help but secretly complain in his heart. Humph. What did he do earlier? Previously, they had caused trouble for his young miss, and now that something had happened, they knew to come and beg his young miss. Did they think that they had nothing better to do, that they had to serve the siblings at any time? If we can find the old ancestor, will we still need to come and beg Lung Ruoxue? Ning couldn't help but say. The old ancestor had always appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Who knew where he was now? Then it's no use for you to come to my young miss now. My family's young miss is cultivating. It's impossible for her to end her cultivation for you and your sister. Fonda asked with a smile. Then what do we do? Ning was a little unhappy. From her point of view, Lung Ruoxue did not want to help at all. That was why she let her servant block her. Otherwise, what was wrong with cultivating? Can't you stop cultivating for a while? This matter is easy to handle. Let's do it this way. I'll go and tell Ning Fei not to punish you for the time being. However, I can't guarantee whether the Nings will take back this order or not. However, you must perform well during this period, or else, First Elder said, but he only finished half of his words. First Elder, don't worry. We siblings will definitely perform well. Ning Haoran quickly said. With the help of the First Elder of the Craftsmen's Guild, Ning Fei would not dare to not give them face. In this way, they would not have to do those heavy work. Thinking of this, he was relieved. Continue reading on MYB0XN0VL.com. Do your words work? Would Ning Fei listen to you? Ning questioned. She didn't know the Great Elder's identity, so she didn't think he had such ability. Shut up. When Ning Haoran heard Ning Er's words, he broke out in a cold sweat. He was so regretful that he wanted to kill himself. This sister of his was too insensible. Someone was willing to plead for them, but she still had such an attitude. Moreover, the other party was the Great Elder of the Craftsmen's main guild. Moreover, she was a good friend of the old ancestor. So how could they tolerate her questioning? If she refused to help in a fit of anger, they would have no place to cry even if they wanted to. With that in mind, Ning Haoran bowed deeply to the Great Elder and said apologetically, Great Elder, my little sister is insensible. Please don't hold it against her. I want to argue with an insensible little guy. The First Elder disapprovingly said, Damn it. Who are you calling insensibles? When Ning heard the First Elder say these three words, she was a little angry. Ning Haoran's head hurt. Seeing Ning like this, he deeply felt that it was a mistake to bring her along to the divine mainland. Otherwise, they wouldn't have caused so much trouble. Great Elder, you want to be a good person, but unfortunately, he doesn't appreciate it. Feng said with a hint of ridicule. Yup, I wanted to ask Ning Fei to stop punishing them for the sake of our friendship with their ancestors. Who knew? The Great Elder's face was also filled with regret, and he couldn't even continue. Great Elder, I apologize to you on behalf of please don't be angry. Ning Haoran quickly said. Ning family boy, you're a sensible one, but you're not the one looking down on me. I won't accept your apology, Sai. Forget it, you guys should go back. I heard from Ning Fei that you two were sick. Go back and have a good rest, and go back to the main residence to work tomorrow. The First Elder said with a sigh. His face was filled with disappointment. Great Elder. Hearing the Great Elder's words, Ning Haoran became anxious. He grabbed Ning Chi-er's arm and pressed her to the ground, ordering, "Hurry up and apologize to the Grand Elder." Ning Chi-er had always been concerned about her reputation, but now that Ning Haoran had treated her like this in front of outsiders, she couldn't accept it. So, she yelled at the top of her voice, "Brother, I'm your sister. How can you do this to me? Why do I have to apologize to him? What did I do wrong? What did you do wrong? How dare you be so rude to the Great Elder? What else do you want?" Ning Haoran said in a low voice. Chapter 1145. The God of Plagues, Purpose 2. What Great Elder? He was just a servant of Lung Ruox's family. What was so great about him? He even said that he would help us plead for mercy. How could Ning Fei listen to him? Who does he think he is? Ning Chi-er said disapprovingly. Huh? Hearing Ning Chi-er's words, Fengda and the others couldn't help but laugh wildly. Ning Haoran's face turned black and white, and he was so angry that he was trembling. "First Elder, I only found out today that you're my family's young Miss Servant." After laughing, Fengda looked at the depressed First Elder and chuckled. "Yup, I only found out about it today." The Great Elder was speechless. He really didn't know what to say to this Ning Chi-er. Sigh. The daughters of the Ning family. It was really a headache. When Master Ning heard Ning Chi-er's words, his expression was not very good either, because he felt that his face had been completely lost by this unfilial grandson. Especially when he saw the First Elder's resentful expression, he was even angrier. Suddenly, a crisp sound was heard. Ning Chi-er's beautiful face was slapped, and the one who hit her was naturally Ning Haoran. After Ning Chi-er was hit, half of her face immediately swelled up. She even looked at her brother in disbelief. After a while, she said, "Brother, you actually hit me? Chi-er, we've all spoiled you," Ning Haoran said angrily. When he heard Ning Chi-er's words, there was a moment when he was dumbfounded. He was scared to death. He was afraid that his life would be ruined because of Ning Chi-er's rudeness. That was why he couldn't help but hit Ning Chi-er. "I say, noble son Ning, if you want to teach your sister a lesson, can you please go back to your room? We're not interested in admiring it." Fengda didn't want to get involved in the grudges between the siblings, in case Ning Chi-er blamed them for this matter. So, he very implicitly asked them to leave. "I'm sorry, you'll take Chi-er back first. He'll come and ask for your forgiveness another day." Ning Haoran finished speaking, then picked up Ning Chi-er from the ground and dragged her away. After the Ning siblings left, the Big Elder didn't say a word for a long time. Fengda and the others saw this and didn't disturb him. However, Master Ning couldn't stand it when he saw the Big Elder's face. "I say, old man, if you're angry, go and teach Ning Chi-er a lesson. I'm so scared of you now," Master Ning said with a frightened look. He was afraid of being slaughtered. He was afraid that this old thing would blame him for this matter. Then wouldn't he have to bleed a lot again? No, this definitely cannot happen. How would I dare to teach the young lady of the Ning family a lesson? I'm just a servant. The Great Elder glanced at Master Ning and ridiculed him. I didn't say that. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. You can go find whoever said that, Master Ning said irresponsibly. Ning Chi-er is your descendant, right? The First Elder asked indifferently. Continue reading on MYB0XN0VL.com. So what if I am? She's her and me. Don't mix them up. Besides, she only has half of our Ning family's bloodline. You can go and get the other half from someone else. Master Ning said shamelessly like a wife. I don't care, her surname is Ning. Don't even think about getting away with it. It'll calculate how much compensation you owe me. The Great Elder said with a smirk. After he finished, he even deliberately counted with his fingers, making Master Ning gnash his teeth in hatred. After a while, the Great Elder finished calculating and said to Master Ning with a smile, "Old man Ning, for the sake of our many years of friendship, I want to ask you for more. Just give me 1,000,000 top-grade crystals and some blacksmithing materials. Why don't you just rob someone? I'm telling you, I don't have any money. How about I give you Ning Chi-er and he'll give you Ning Haoran as a partner. What do you think? Although Master Ning's tone was negotiable, everyone knew that there was no room for discussion. I don't want it. Don't always stuff your Ning family's trash to me, okay? I don't have the money to support them. The great elder said with a look of disdain. In his heart, he despised Master Ning for being so stingy. You don't have to take care of them. Let them be your servants and earn money to support themselves. Master Ning suggested. I don't have money either. If I don't look at your big family and business, I can't afford to keep a servant. The great elder said in a poor voice. Watching the two old men go back and forth, Fengde and the others couldn't stand it anymore. They simply left the living room, leaving the two of them to play. After Ning Haoran dragged Ning Qi back to her room, he threw her on the floor roughly and gave her a few slaps. Then, he said fiercely, Do you know who you were talking to just now? Even if you're tired of living, don't drag me down with you. He's just a servant. You actually hit me for the sake of an outsider. I will definitely tell Mother when I return to the divine realm. Ning Qi threatened. The two of them had the same father and mother, and her mother had always doted on her, and was her biggest backer. It's useless no matter who you tell. The clan head won't let you off for offending the first elder. Ning Haoran said coldly. She was really a woman with long hair, but short knowledge. The ancestor had so many descendants. How could he care about them? They had offended the great elder of the Craftsmen's Guild. He would not be surprised if the ancestor handed them over to the great elder to deal with. What great elder? He's just a dog of Lung Ruox's family. Ning Qi didn't know the great elder's identity, so she didn't think much of it. Shut up. What do you mean by Lung Ruox's dog? He's the great elder of the Craftsmen's Guild and our old ancestor's best friend. Ning Haoran growled in a low voice. How? How is this possible? How could he be the head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild? Ning Qi's face was filled with disbelief. Why was the great elder of the Craftsmen's Guild here in the divine land instead of the divine realm? If he really was, then what should she do? At this moment, she also knew that things were not good. No wonder her brother was so angry. What should she do? Why is it impossible? Don't tell me you didn't recognize him? Ning Haoran was speechless. He had only recognized the great elder that day at the auction. He had thought that Ning Qi would recognize him as well, but who knew that this incompetent sister of his would not recognize him at all, and even offended the great elder. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. Chapter 1146, The God of Plagues, Purpose 3I. I've only met the Armament Guild headquarters great elder once, and it was when I was very young. How could I remember? Ning Qi said, feeling wronged. In her heart, she blamed her brother. If her brother had told her about this earlier, she would not have dared to scold the first elder. You pig brain! Ning Haoran cursed in exasperation. The great elder had said that he would plead for them, but it was a pity that it had been ruined by this disappointing sister. Now, the great elder would probably not care about them anymore. Brother, what should they do now? I really don't know his identity. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to say this. Ning Qi was a little scared. She didn't care about the pain on her face and held Ning Haoran's arm tightly. You're asking me, but who should I ask? The only thing we can do now is to coax the elder. If he is willing to plead for us, the ancestor might spare us. Ning Haoran said after thinking for a while. Don't we still have Lung Ruox? Ning Qi reminded. He's cultivating. Why would he care about us? Our biggest hope now is the great elder. Ning Haoran said rationally. But I just offended the great elder. Ning Qi said in a low voice. You know about it too? You have to apologize to me tomorrow. You have to be sincere and not throw a tantrum. Otherwise, we'll stay in the godly mainland for the rest of our lives. Ning Haoran warned. Why don't you go now? Ning Qi could not help but ask. Are you an idiot? He was just offended by you, and now he wants to see us? Ning Haoran said unhappily. He used to think that his sister was quite smart, but now he realized that she was actually an idiot. He had even hoped that Ning Qi could help him, but now it seemed that she had only made things worse. If he had not brought her to the divine mainland, perhaps things would not have ended up like this. He had not even started to do anything. It was already difficult for him to take a single step. When he thought of this, he was really depressed. Oh. Ning Chi nodded and became more honest. The next morning, the Ning siblings, who had not slept for the entire night, came to Lung Ruox's residence early in the morning. However, the two of them were denied entrance. However, they did not give up. They continued to guard Lung Ruoxue and the other's door, unwilling to leave. Continue reading on MYB0XN0VL. It wasn't until nighttime that the Great Elder couldn't bear to let them in, so he let Fengde in. In the living room, the Great Elder sat on the main seat and looked down at Ning Chi, who was kneeling in front of him and asking for forgiveness. He pretended to be puzzled and asked, "Miss Ning, why are you so polite the moment you come in? Get up quickly. I can't stand it as a servant." "Great Elder, I didn't know your identity. Please forgive me if I've offended you." Ning Chi's beautiful eyes were filled with tears as she begged pitifully for today's apology. The two of them had rehearsed the entire night last night and had even thought of many excuses to move the Great Elder. "What do you mean by forgive me? You're just a young man. It's nothing to have a bad temper," but the Great Elder said disapprovingly, but he suddenly changed the topic and did not continue. Suddenly, the hearts of the two siblings were raised high. "However, you have to change your temper. It's not right to scold people. Even if you don't know my identity, you should still respect the elderly." The first elder said with a smile, "I know I was wrong. Please forgive me, Great Elder." Ning Chi's attitude was very sincere, and after knowing the Great Elder's identity, she did not dare to be presumptuous. "I'll forgive you, but if you don't change your temper, something bad will happen to you sooner or later." The first elder spoke in a concerned manner as an elder. "Thank you, Great Elder. I will change." Ning Chi said through gritted teeth. "It's good that you've changed. Since you've learned your lesson, I won't hold it against you for what happened yesterday." The first elder said magnanimously. "Thank you, Great Elder." Ning Chi finally heaved a sigh of relief. "There's no need to thank me. I'm not someone who would be too calculative with a junior. If there's nothing else, you can go back." The Grand Elder began to ask him to leave. "Great Elder, you promised yesterday that you would intercede on our behalf." Ning Chi couldn't help but remind the first elder when she saw that he didn't mention it. "Oh, this matter. Don't worry, you'll keep my promise." The Great Elder promised. "Thank you, Great Elder. We will take our leave first." Ning Haoran was relieved after getting the first elder's promise. He left with Ning Chi. After the Ning siblings left, Fengde looked at the Great Elder with a strange expression. He thought to himself, "Why is this old man so easy to talk to today?" This didn't seem like his style. Although he didn't know what the Great Elder was up to, he knew that this matter definitely wasn't that simple. The Ning siblings probably wouldn't be able to escape the hands of these two old foxes. "It's getting late, and going back to my room to rest." The Great Elder was frightened by Fengde's scrutinizing and probing gaze, so he stood up and slipped away. With the promise of the Great Elder, Ning Fei came to the Ning family's house the next morning and told them that they didn't need to go to the main house anymore. The Ning siblings were completely relieved after hearing this. Ning Haoran's room. Ning Chi looked at Ning Haoran and said smugly, "Big brother, we finally don't have to do the work of those servants anymore." In fact, what she wanted to say was that it was all thanks to her. "And Chi, you can't mess around anymore." Ning Haoran was too lazy to expose his sister's smugness. However, he still had to warn them. Besides, they were only fine for the time being. After all, the punishment from the master had not been withdrawn yet. Therefore, he could not let his guard down. "I know. I will control my temper," Ning Chi promised. In fact, she did not know if she could control her temper. Ever since the Ning siblings had been taught a lesson, they had become much more low-key. They were also particularly enthusiastic when they saw Fengde and the others, especially Ning Chi. In order to atone for her mistake, she had been trying her best to get close to Lu Tao and Shui Zhu, both openly and secretly, to find out about Lung Ruox's situation. Ning Haoran, on the other hand, often appeared in front of the Great Elder, trying to please him in all ways, which annoyed the great elder. Chapter 1147. The God of Plagues, Purpose 4, in the living room. The great elder looked at Master Ning with resentment and said, "Old man Ning, hurry up and settle your family's matters. I don't want to stay here any longer." I thought you were enjoying that unfilial grandson's flattery," Master Ning said with an evil smile. "Enjoy my ass. If it wasn't for you, I would have sent him flying with a kick," the first elder said, somewhat speechless. If it was the little girl who was trying to please him, he might still enjoy it, but it was better to forget about the Ning siblings. He did not know when the young woman would come out of her room. He even missed her a little. "You can kick me if you want to. You don't have to give me face," Master Ning said unappreciatingly. Because of Ning Haoran and his sister, he had been plundered by this old man a lot. Once he thought of this, he could no longer be close to the two. "I'm just afraid of ruining your plan, not giving you face. But when do you plan to make your move? I'm afraid that little girl can't wait any longer. Otherwise, she wouldn't have closed her door in her room." The great elder could not help but ask. Schwepper had originally planned to leave this place and find a quiet place to cultivate in seclusion. However, she had been hiding in her room from time to time and had not come out. "I also wanted to end quickly, but the time isn't right," Master Ning said helplessly. He was fishing. However, the fish did not bite the hook. Sigh. He was also anxious. "Then let's wait. I'm not in a hurry to leave now." Suddenly, Lung Ruox's voice entered their ears. The two of them looked up and couldn't help but reveal a surprised expression as they said in unison, "Little girl, you've finally come out." "Godfather, great elder, I just came out to tell you that I plan to cultivate in seclusion here. So, you can have fun. I'm not in a hurry to leave." Lung Ruoxua chuckled. She had been in closed-door cultivation for the past few days, and the results were not bad. She could feel that she was about to break through soon, which was why she came out to tell them, so that they wouldn't worry. "All right, little Schwepper, you can go into seclusion in peace. With your godfather here, no one will dare to disturb you," Master Ning promised. "Then I'll thank Godfather first." "Oh, right, this is your token. I'll return it to its owner." After Lung Ruoxua finished speaking, she took out Master Ning's token from her bracelet and returned it to him. After that, Lung Ruoxua officially went into closed-door cultivation. Fengda and the rest rarely left the inn. They would have someone guard outside Lung Ruox's room every day to prevent anyone from disturbing their miss. In reality, they were just putting on an act. After all, Miss was not really in her room. However, when the Ning siblings saw that Lung Ruoxua had not come out after a long time, they could not help but feel a little anxious. Continue reading on MYB0XN0VEL, a month later. The Ning siblings had been waiting for her for a long time. Fengda and the others couldn't help but laugh secretly when they saw them come to ask when their miss would come out of seclusion every day, but they would return in disappointment every time. Ning Haoran's room. Ning Chi looked at her brother with dissatisfaction and couldn't help but shout, "Brother, when can we leave this place?" She didn't want to stay here any longer. Although they didn't have to do heavy work anymore, they were forbidden from leaving the inn. To put it bluntly, they were imprisoned. "We have to wait for Lung Ruoxua to come out of her closed-door cultivation. She has Ancestor's token in her hand. If we want to be exempted from punishment, she must be the one," Ning Haoran said helplessly. Right now, he could deeply feel the importance of the token. Therefore, he was even more eager to get it. Even if it was only a temporary possession, he still wanted it. "Don't we still have our ancestor? That doesn't mean that Lung Ruoxua is the only one who can do it," Ning Chi said unhappily. She didn't like to place her hopes of being exempted on the woman she hated. It didn't feel good. "You can find our ancestor? Even if you can find it, the ancestor will definitely show mercy and spare us," Ning Haoran retorted. To him, it was more unreliable to look for the old ancestor than Lung Ruoxua. After all, the old ancestor's identity and status were there for all to see. Why would he care about the life and death of two juniors? However, Lung Ruoxue was different. In his eyes, he and Lung Ruoxue were people who could speak. Ning Chi was speechless. She really couldn't find the old ancestor. Who knew that the old ancestor, who appeared and disappeared like a ghost, had run to that corner? Have some patience and wait, Ning Haoran said helplessly. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue had been in closed-door cultivation in the purple bamboo house. She had cut off all contact with the outside world, and even Qing Ju could not wake her up. Hence, she had no idea about the Ning siblings' punishment or their expectations. Another month passed. Lung Ruoxue still showed no signs of coming out of her closed-door cultivation. After Feng De and the rest had arranged everything, they also chose to go into closed-door cultivation temporarily. After all, there were Master Ning and the First Elder here, so safety was definitely not a problem. After everyone had gone into seclusion, the originally lively living room was often left with only 5 men sitting there. In the living room, the First Elder, Master Ning, Mo Yin, Lu Feng, and Lu Yin were all sitting there, looking at each other in boredom. After a long while, the Great Elder couldn't help but say, "I say, Old Man Ning, how long do you plan on fishing for this fish? It's been 2 months. Why haven't I seen the fish take the bait yet? What's the hurry? Hasn't Shui been in closed-door cultivation all this time?" Master Ning said disapprovingly. Sigh. After those little guys went into seclusion, the living room suddenly became quiet. This made him, who was used to the liveliness, a little uncomfortable. And bored, the Great Elder spoke the truth. He was a little tired of seeing these people every day. However, it was fortunate that Lu Feng and the others didn't know how to read minds. Otherwise, they would be depressed to death. Yup, I'm also quite bored. Qiu and Bao Bao, those 2 disloyal little guys, didn't even say that they would come out to accompany us. Master Ning complained. The little girl was in seclusion, and the 2 little things didn't come out either. He felt so miserable now. Chapter 1148. The God of Plagues, Purpose 5. Those 2 little fellows are guarding their master. When the little girl comes out, they will come out. The First Elder said, I wonder when they'll come out. Master Ning said gloomily. There was no concept of time for closed-door cultivation. It could be long or short, so he was not sure now. Suddenly, a strong pressure appeared around the inn, and the 5 people in the room immediately became alert. You 3 stay here. They'll go out with the old man to take a look. Master Ning made a prompt decision. Yes. Mo Yin and the others nodded. And then Master Ning and the First Elder turned into a stream of light. Whoosh! Disappeared in an instant. Out of the inn, the 2 of them floated in the air and looked at the other people who were also standing in the air, not far away. The First Elder and Master Ning looked at each other and suddenly understood. Great Elder, long time no see. A person on the other side said with a faint smile. Yup, long time no see. May I know what brings you here, Wen family head? The First Elder played dumb. At the same time, he stole a glance at Master Ning. It seemed that this old man from the Wen family did not recognize Old Man Ning either. I came to the Divine Mainland for a walk. I heard that my 2 unfilial grandsons and granddaughters are in the Ning family's divine realm, so I came to see them. The head of the Wen family smiled. Oh, then why didn't you go in to find them and instead released your pressure outside? Wen family head, this is the divine continent. Not many people can withstand your pressure. Moreover, my granddaughter and the others are all in closed-door cultivation. If your pressure caused them to go in a chi deviation, can you bear the responsibility? The Great Elder questioned with a displeased look on his face. He was secretly lamenting in his heart. It was said so nicely. This old God of Plagues was clearly here to provoke them. However, the little girl and the others could not be disturbed at this time. Therefore, even if they had to fall out with each other, he could not let this God of Plagues show off here. I'm really sorry. I didn't know that your granddaughter and the others were in closed-door cultivation. When did you have a granddaughter? The head of the Wen family looked apologetic and asked in surprise. It's none of your business. If you want to see your grandson and granddaughter, then quickly go in. They're in the VIP room on the 5th floor. The great elder urged him impatiently. Great elder, why are you still so rude? I'm just concerned about you. The head of the Wynn family said with a face full of grievance, as if the first elder had done something that was criticized by thousands of people. I'm a rough man, it's right to be rude. The great elder rolled his eyes. Let's go. The Wynn family head looked at the grand elder and said to his subordinate. Although he was a little angry, he did not want to offend the grand elder of the Craftsmen's Guild. So, he brought his subordinate and descended from the sky, walking straight into the inn. Continue reading on MYB0XN0VL. After that, Master Ning and First Elder also returned to the inn. In the living room, the Great Elder looked thoughtful and kept peeking at Master Ning. Old thing, you're looking at me again? Master Ning said uneasily. What's wrong with looking? You're afraid of looking at it. The First Elder teased with a smirk. Are you going to say that you didn't expect the God of Plague to come? Master Ning understood. You're getting smarter, old man. The Great Elder was not stingy with his praise. Smart my ass, isn't it obvious? Master Ning was speechless. Sometimes he really admired this old man's ability to play dumb. I say, Old Man Ning, this God of Plague is planning to interfere in your Ning family's family affairs. Don't let him off easily. First Elder reminded. He couldn't beat the God of Plagues, but Old Man Ning could. It would be a waste not to use this ready-made goon. Do you have a grudge? Master Ning winked and asked with an ambiguous look. No, I just don't like him. Besides, don't forget that your precious goddaughter has a grudge against the Wynn family. First Elder warned. With me here, I'd like to see who dares to touch that little girl. Master Ning's eyes were wide open as he said fiercely. It's always better to be safe than sorry. If the Wynn family is behind this, you won't be able to guard against them. The First Elder was a little worried. In the divinity, the Wynn family did not have a good reputation because they preferred to use unscrupulous means in their actions. Hence, he was truly worried about the safety of that little girl. After all, Lung Ruoxue and the others were too weak now, and it was impossible for Old Man Ning to stay by their side and protect them forever. You want me to make the first move? Master Ning asked in a low voice. After all, the Wynn family was one of the 8 great divine regions, and the 8 great divine regions had in-laws. Therefore, it was not easy to get rid of the Wynn family. That's not necessarily the case, but when it's time to act. 1,000 creations, don't be soft-hearted. First Elder suggested. Yes, don't worry. I know what to do. Since I've taken that little girl as my goddaughter, I won't let anyone bully her. Master Ning promised. Master, did Master Wen really come just to see Ning Haoran and Ning Chi-er? Mo Yin, who had been listening by the side, asked suspiciously. How could that be? I suspect he also came for Old Man Ning's token. After all, in the eyes of outsiders, that token is in the hands of the little girl. The Great Elder thought for a moment before he spoke very cautiously. He had told her that the sign was a big problem. Now, trouble had come. Fortunately, they were here. The God of Plagues did not dare to act rashly. Otherwise, the little girl would be in danger. He dared? Is my Ning family's thing something he can dream of? Knowing that it was possible, Master Ning couldn't help but be a little angry. However, he was more angry at Ning Haoran and his sister for being ungrateful. The Ning family had raised them for so many years, but they had become ungrateful wolves. How preposterous. Don't be angry. This is just my guess. Maybe she really just came to see her grandson and granddaughter. The Great Elder quickly consoled him. Although the possibility of them coming for the token was very high, they didn't need to be so paranoid without any evidence. However, it was always right to be cautious. After all, the little girl and the others were in seclusion and they couldn't be disturbed. You should lie to a child, Master Ning said unhappily. He didn't just know the God of Plagues today. How could the old God of Plagues be willing to do something without any benefits? Calm down, calm down, the First Elder said with a smile. At the same time, in Ning Haoran's room. The head of the Wen family was sitting on a chair with a dark expression, not even looking at the Ning siblings who were standing carefully beside him. "Grandpa, say something." After a while, Ning Chi, who couldn't stand the oppressive atmosphere, said coquettishly, "What do you want me to say?" "Chi, how did your mother educate you? You've really disappointed me." The Wen family's head sighed softly and said with a face full of disappointment. He had married his most beloved daughter to the Ning family, but in the end, the children that his daughter had given birth to were so disappointing. In this way, all his efforts over the years had been in vain. "Grandfather, it's all Lung Ruox's fault. If it wasn't for her, my brother and I wouldn't have been punished by the family." Ning Chi, had forgotten the pain after her scar healed. The Ning family's punishment order had not been revoked yet. She then pushed all the blame for her suffering onto Lung Ruoxue. "You still dare to say that? If not for your words, how could the Ning family have punished you?" The head of the Wen family said angrily, "Did they really think that he didn't know anything? Everything the siblings did in the divine mainland was within his control. So Ning Chi's words couldn't fool him." Grampy, Ning Chi, wanted to continue acting coquettishly. However, the Wen family head did not fall for her tricks. "Shut up. I don't want to hear you talk now," the Wen family head said coldly. To him, descendants who were of no use were useless. In his eyes, Ning Chi was already equivalent to a piece of trash. "Ranner, what's your plan?" The head of the Wen family turned his head and asked Ning Haoran kindly. His attitude towards Ning Chi and Ning Haoran now was absolutely different. "I want to continue befriending Lung Ruoxue and the others. However, they have all gone into closed-door cultivation," Ning Haoran said gloomily. It had been 2 months, and he had not seen Lung Ruoxue. He did not know how long he would have to wait. Chapter 1149. Forbidden from spectating, rank up, 1-0. Did you find out about her relationship with Old Man Ning? The Wen family head asked with concern. "Grandpa, that woman said that she took her mother's surname. I'm guessing that she might be the ancestor's illegitimate daughter." Ning Chi was not willing to be ignored and quickly said, "Chi, don't talk nonsense without evidence." Ning Haoran scolded loudly. "Brother, how am I talking nonsense? Isn't it all over Ning City now?" Ning Chi pouted her red lips and said unhappily, "An illegitimate daughter? With that old man's disposition, it's not impossible." The Wen family's master muttered to himself for a moment before he spoke slowly. Actually, the reason why he thought this way was because the great elder of the Craftsmen's Guild had said that Lung Ruoxue was his god-granddaughter. However, what he couldn't understand was that if Lung Ruoxue was Old Man Ning's illegitimate daughter, why would Old Man Ning let his own daughter be the great elder's god-granddaughter? Wasn't this a difference in seniority? Grandfather this. Ning Haoran was speechless. How could his grandfather take such nonsense seriously? Could it be that the old ancestor had a past record in this area? "Ranner, in your eyes, Old Man Ning is high and mighty, unattainable, but in my eyes, he's just an ordinary old man. When he was young, he was much more flirtatious than he is now. But now, his cultivation is higher, and he's older, so his need for women is less. However, he has the most children in our generation. You should know this." The head of the Wen family said with a hint of jealousy. "Yes," Ning Haoran nodded. Of course he knew that. Otherwise, the Ning family would not have so many people. However, just keep this matter in your hearts. If this matter were to come out of your mouths, that old thing would not be happy." Master Wen reminded. After his words, he further confirmed the relationship between Lung Ruoxue and Master Ning. "Grandfather, this matter is no longer a secret in Ning City." Ning Chi reminded. "Then you're not allowed to talk nonsense, especially you, Chi. Watch your mouth, or else trouble will come from it." The Wen family head said worriedly. "Yes, Grandpa." Ning Chi replied obediently. As for whether she could do it, only God knew. "Grandpa, when are you taking us out of here?" Ning Chi asked again, looking at her grandfather with anticipation. "I don't intend to take you away. am only here to see you today. The Wen family head said honestly. What? Grandfather, I can tea. I want to leave this place. I don't want to stay here anymore. When Ning Qi heard this, she immediately started to plead in a low voice. Continue reading on MYB0X and 0VL. Calm, Qi grandfather is an outsider after all. Your punishment was given by the Ning family, so how could I take you away without permission? If old man Ning were to find out, I'm afraid he would be even more dissatisfied with you. The Wen family head explained patiently. But Ning Qi refused to give up and wanted to continue begging. However, she was interrupted by Master Wen with a wave of his hand. Qi, you should be more sensible now that you're an adult. So, you have to help your brother as much as possible and don't cause him any more trouble. And that Lung Rua Xue, not only are you not allowed to be rude to her, you have to fight to be good friends with her. The head of the Wen family warned. Of the two children, he was most worried about Ning Qi. Yes, Ning Qi nodded unwillingly. In fact, she was still very resistant to the idea of becoming friends with Lung Rua Xue. However, she had seen many such things in the family, so it was not completely unacceptable to her. Besides, although she was willful, she was not stupid. She was very clear that if she insisted on doing things her own way and did not follow Grampy's instructions, her status in the family and the Wen family would definitely plummet. This was not what she wanted. Therefore, she could only compromise. Good girl. Rana, you guys can stay in the godly mainland for now. Remember, don't act rashly. The head of the Wen family reminded him before he stood up and left Ning Haoran's room. After the Wen family head left the room, he went straight to the third floor. The purpose of his visit was naturally to have a chat with the first elder. In the living room, the first elder, Master Ning, Mo Yin, Lu Feng, and Lu Yu all looked at Master Wen, and none of them spoke. Grand Elder, can I have a word with you in private? After a long while, the Wen family head spoke indifferently. There's no need to talk alone. Don't be afraid. They're not outsiders, so they won't leak the contents of our conversation. The first elder promised with a serious expression. Oh, actually, I have something to ask you, Grand Elder. The head of the Wen family said after a pause. I don't dare to ask for advice. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't waste everyone's time. The great elder reminded. In fact, he also had something to ask this old pestilence. We haven't seen each other for so many years, but the great elder is still so direct. The head of the Wen family teased. Yup, I'm a rough person. If you want me to be as erudite as you, I really can't stand it. The great elder said proudly. Obviously, he took the old god of plagues' words as a compliment. First elder, I've heard some things, so I want to confirm it with you. The head of the Wen family changed the topic. Oh, then what do you want to confirm? As long as I know, I will tell you the truth. The first elder said generously. I heard that Master Ning has an illegitimate daughter. The head of the Wen family did not beat around the bush and asked directly. Ah, who did you hear this from? The great elder's forehead was full of black lines, and he looked at Master Ning again before asking. This matter is no longer a secret in Ning City. I heard about it the moment I entered Ning City. The Wen family head said very honestly. Of course, he couldn't say that it was Ning Qi who told him about this. Otherwise, the old man of the Ning family would make things difficult for the Qi siblings. I've been in Ning City for quite some time. Why haven't I heard of it? The great elder was puzzled. Was this considered a case of there's no smoke without fire? However, who was the one who started this wind? In reality, they had not heard of this matter mainly because they rarely left the inn. Furthermore, no one dared to gossip in their ears. After all, the rumors were about the master of the main family. Who would dare to gossip in front of Lung Rua Xue and the others? Wasn't that courting death? Therefore, those who knew about this matter naturally kept it a secret. Chapter 1150. Forbidden from spectating, rank up 2. I guess no one dares to say it in front of you. By the way, where is Master Ning now? The Wen family head asked again. I don't know where old man Ning is, but I can tell you for sure that he doesn't have any illegitimate daughter, so don't take those rumors seriously. The great elder looked at Master Ning and said with a smile, "Then why is his token in the hands of a woman? Did something happen to him?" The head of the Wen family guessed with a puzzled look. "Old God of Plague, if old man Ning were to hear this, aren't you afraid he'd beat you up?" The grand elder asked curiously. "Unless you sell me out, there's no way, hell no." The head of the Wen family said confidently. He was certain that the people present would not reveal his words to old man Ning, unless they really wanted to shed all pretenses of cordiality with him. "If I tell you that even if we don't say anything, he will know, would you believe me?" The great elder asked in a low voice. He peeked at Master Ning's face, which was getting darker and darker, and laughed in his heart. "How is that possible? If he knows about our conversation today, then it's you who said it." The head of the Wen family said with certainty. "Old God of Plagues, don't you wrongly accuse me. I'll tell you the truth. Even if we don't say anything, old man Ning already knows what we've said today." The first elder said with a face full of smiles. "Could it be that he has arranged for spies?" The head of the Wen family guessed. Yes, you're right. Do you see him? He's old man Ning's spy." The great elder pointed at Master Ning and said mysteriously, "Is that so?" Master Wen squinted his eyes, and then his aura surged and attacked Master Ning directly. However, Master Ning only waved his hand gently and blocked Master Wen's pressure. He even rolled his eyes at Master Wen with disdain, as if he despised his behavior. "Are you trying to provoke me?" Master Ning asked calmly. "Who are you?" The head of the Wen family was in disbelief. Even in the divine world, there were not many people who could easily nullify his attack. Although he could not exert 100% of his strength on the divine mainland, their pressure was 100%. However, this extremely ugly person in front of him not only ignored his pressure, but also easily nullified it. This was unbelievable, and it also hit his self-confidence. Who I am is not important. However, I'm very interested in your provocation. Why don't we go out and have a one-on-one fight? After saying that, Master Ning grabbed Master Wen's arm and disappeared in the blink of an eye. "AI, you guys wait for me." The great elder shouted loudly, and also turned into a stream of light and chased after. Continue reading on MYB0XN0VL. Calm seeing this. Mo Yin and the other two could only resign themselves to their fate and stay in the inn. Although they also wanted to join in the fun, the safety of Lung Ruoxue and the others was more important. Master Ning dragged Master went to a remote valley. After letting go of him, he looked at the person in front of him with disdain and said calmly, "Let's do it here." "Who are you?" The head of the Wen family was shocked. His mind was filled with question marks. Since when did such a person appear in the divine realm? Why had he not heard of him before? Could it be a reverent god who had hidden from the world? "It doesn't matter who I am, but since you want a one-on-one fight, I'll fulfill your wish," Master Ning said straightforwardly. After hearing Master Ning's words, Master Wen was completely depressed. "Damn it. Why was it me who wanted to fight one-on-one? It was clearly you who dragged me here." However, what made him even angrier was that he couldn't resist. "Wait a moment." Suddenly, the first elder's voice entered their ears. Then, the first elder's figure appeared in their sight. "Wait for me. I'm here to cheer you on," the first elder said with a face full of anticipation. He was looking forward to the old god of plagues being beaten black and blue by old man Ning, his head bleeding, and his appearance of not daring to see anyone. "What are you doing here?" When the Wen family head saw the first elder, the anger in his heart rose. Damn it, this old man actually didn't tell him this person's strength, causing him to be in such a passive position. Now, he actually still had the face to come and watch the show. He was really about to die of anger. "Old god of plagues, you're getting old. Are your ears not good? Didn't I say that I'm here to watch the show?" The first elder said with a regretful expression. "What are you here for? You're forbidden from watching." The head of the Wen family said angrily, "TSK, what you say doesn't count." The great elder didn't think much of it. After looking at the two of them, he said as if he was making a judgment, "All right, you can start the battle now. You must show me a wonderful battle." Don't worry, you'll definitely be satisfied. Master Ning narrowed his eyes and struck first. A light blue ray of light flew out from his palm like a ribbon. It spun in an arc in the air and flew directly towards the One family head. Seeing this, the One family head quickly added a shield in front of himself. The first elder had long jumped out of their battle range to avoid being affected by the innocent. One should know that a battle between reverent god-level cultivators was not a small fight. If one was too close, one would definitely die. Fortunately, they were on the divine mainland, which restricted their power. Otherwise, the Ning family's divine territory would have been destroyed. Come on, beat him up, the great elder shouted. His words caused the two people in the battle to be unable to help but have black lines appear on their foreheads. Damn it, shut up, the head of the One family said angrily. He wouldn't think that the first elder's words were meant for him, but the first elder hoped that he would be the one to be beaten up. Old god of plague, freedom of speech, do you understand? Also, you have to focus. Otherwise, if you're beaten up too badly, you won't be able to show your face to anyone. The first elder said in an infuriating manner. The head of the One family was so angry that he couldn't speak. However, his mind was a little distracted, and his shield loosened a little, giving the light blue ray an opportunity. The light blue ray and the shield collided violently, and the collision ignited countless sparks. Immediately, the light blue ray disappeared, and the shield in front of him cracked. Following that, a mouthful of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Chapter 1151. Forbidden from spectating. Rank up 3. Master Wen swallowed the sweet taste in his mouth and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He glared at the first elder, who was dancing with joy, and then turned his eyes to Master Ning. You're very strong. The head of the Wen family spoke with some fear. You don't need to tell me that, Master Ning said disdainfully. Old god of plague. I've already told you to focus, the first elder said with some schadenfreude. You shut up. Master Wen was furious and was about to attack the first elder, but he was stopped by Master Ning. I'm your opponent, Master Ning reminded. Stand aside. I need to teach this old man a lesson first. The head of the Wen family roared in exasperation. No, you can't touch him. Do you want to be enemies with the Craftsman's Guild? Master Ning reminded him. At a critical moment, the identity of the great elder was very useful. After hearing Master Ning's words, Master Wen suppressed the anger in his heart and once again targeted Master Ning. He truly didn't want to become enemies with the Armament Guild headquarters. Moreover, this damned old man had a grandson who was the vice president of the Alchemist Guild headquarters. When he thought of this, he was a little envious, jealous, and hateful. Why didn't their Wen family have such an outstanding descendant? Good luck, you guys. The great elder continued to jeer. However, this time, the Wen family head did not even spare him a glance. A battle between experts would usually not be a life-and-death struggle. Usually, they could decide the outcome within a few moves because the strong valued their lives more than ordinary cultivators. However, Master Ning wanted to teach Master Wen a lesson in his heart. Hence, even if he was stronger than the other party, he did not intend to stop easily. However, in this realm, he could not fight to his heart's content. Hence, he felt that it was not enough and directly punched the Wen family head. Instantly, a loud bang was heard in the empty valley. Bang! The sound of collision. The reverent god's body was very strong and hard, but Master Wen still felt a little pain, which showed how heavy Master Ning's punch was. Continue reading on MYB0XN0VL. Calm, damn you, you barbarian. The Wen family head was furious. How could this ugly freak be the same as old man Ning, not stopping even after winning, and even using his fist to beat him up? Truly preposterous. He was filled with hatred. You're right, I'm a barbarian. Master Ning smiled evilly, and this smile made him look even uglier. Old god of plague. You're so unlucky. Why do I get beaten up so often? How are you going to face others now? The first elder could not help but burst into laughter when he saw the bruised and swollen face of the Wen family's head. One should know that this old god of plagues was quite good-looking and was also a well-known handsome man in the divine realm. However, now he had become a pig's head. How could he not be happy? However, he still felt a little regretful. It would be great if he could kill this old god of plagues. Unfortunately, Reverend God wouldn't die so easily. When did I get beaten up so often? Hearing this, the Wen family head could not help but clench his teeth and roar. And because he was distracted, he took another punch to the face. As far as I know, you've been beaten up by Old Man Ning a lot. Now you've been beaten up by someone else. The first elder reminded with an evil smile. He's the same as Old Man Ning. They're both barbarians. The head of the Wen family was furious, but he couldn't avoid the attack of this ugly woman. This made him even angrier and began to climb up. Fuck, was this person from the same sect as the old man of the Ning family? No matter how he beat people, he always used the same technique, specifically to hit people's faces. It was really too wicked. Although he didn't think of himself as a good person, he couldn't do such a bad thing. You're right. After Master Ning gave the last punch, he stopped. The reason was simple. He was tired. Hearing the Wen family head's words, the great elder laughed to himself. Of course, he was the same as Old Man Ning. It was because they were the same person. However, he would not tell the old god of plagues about this. He would let the old god of plagues think that they were two different people. Old god of plague, I beat you up today. I know you must hate me. It's okay. It'll give you a chance to take revenge. Master Ning said with an evil smile. All right, just you wait. It'll come and find you one day. The head of the Wen family said angrily. He was indeed not this ugly person's match now. However, he would remember today's humiliation and the first elder. One day he would also deal with him. Today's sudden battle had disrupted the Wen family head's plans. He had lost everything and was too ashamed to return to the inn. He had no choice but to leave the godly mainland. The first elder and Master Ning went back to the inn in a good mood. The old god of plagues was gone, so they could relax a little. However, the old god of plagues' subordinates were still here, so they had to be vigilant. At least before the little girl and the others came out of seclusion, they could not take it lightly, in case someone took advantage of them. After going back and telling Mo Yin and the other two about what had happened, the five people's days returned to peace. However, the Ning siblings ran to them even more frequently, reporting almost every day, making the five of them extremely annoyed. Don't come here anymore. The little girl is still in seclusion. The first elder, who was sitting in the living room, looked at the Ning siblings in front of him, who were fawning over him, and said in a somewhat annoyed tone, Grand Elder, we've come to see you. Ning Haoran said with a smile, You don't have to come every day to see us. There are no flowers on our faces. What's there to see? The great elder had a headache. He had lived for so long, but this was the first time he had met someone so thick-skinned. What was surprising was that this pair of brother and sister actually didn't know what rejection was. They clearly knew that they were not welcome, but they still came to report every day. It was really unbearable. Grand Elder Grandpa taught us a lesson before he left. He told us to respect you, so we don't dare to show any neglect. Otherwise, Grandpa won't let us off. Since Ning Haoran brought up his grandfather, he expected that the first elder would give him some face. You can treat the words of that old god of plagues as farts. The first elder said in a rough manner. 2 drops of cold sweat fell from Ning Haoran's forehead. He was speechless. The great elder didn't even give his grandfather any face. However, he didn't dare to say that it was because of his grandfather's poor popularity. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.